Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm Ben Hansen. I'm joined by Leo Vader.
Cup noodle.
Wonderful for the audio listeners. Leo's here in person for a little bit at least. Then we have Ben Reeves.
Hello.
And then Kimberly Wallace.
Hello.
Kim, you're in this for the long haul, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what a haul it is. We're talking about a lot on this episode. First up, talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance. Weird name, weird game. Let's talk about it. After that, Kim, you've been playing a lot of Secret of Mana?
Yeah,
remake?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, we'll talk all about that. Some other RPGs here and there, real scattershot. I might mention the Age of Empires remaster as well. Ben Reeves, you're here representing the smart people, talking about Civilization 6, the new expansion.
For once in my life.
That's right. Then we might get Kyle in here to talk about some fun stuff. But I feel like we need a scattershot of like what else is going on this week, because this is one of those weeks that's kind of tough to schedule a podcast for, because there's so many little-ish things where it's like, how much do we want to sink into that? But we should address it because there's reviews on the site. There's coverage on the site. That's GameInformer.com if you're not familiar. Cool. First of all, Crossing Souls, the game JV was blathering on about last week. His little Zelda meets, what's the Netflix?
Stranger Things?
Stranger Things, thank you. He ended up giving that a 9. It's one of those JV Hailmakers out of the blue.
I did not expect that based on what he was saying.
I didn't either. We have a new gameplay today up if you want to learn more and see the game in action.
You want to be further confused why he suddenly gave it a 9?
There we go. He seems to like it a lot. Also, Bayonetta's out on Switch, which we talked about with Imran a bit last week, the week before, I forget. But Joe is head over heels for Bayonetta one more time. Head over heels with guns on them, Kim. I said with
Kim,
guns
say thank you.
Oh, that's
Say
a
thank you
joke.
for his great joke, Kim.
Oh.
Dantech is coming up later in the episode with the Monster Hunter Game Club Part 2, but we wanted to get out that he reviewed Final Fantasy Dissidia, gave it a 6. JV, unpredictable as ever, also reviewed Rust, the game from 2013. Finally came out of early access. He gave that a 6.5. You can read his review on the site. Radiant Historia, the remake of the DS game that Joe really loves, and I've played the first 10 hours of it, and it seemed really good.
It's a good game.
Yeah, that comes out this week as well. And they added a new mode that like makes it so all fighting is optional. So it basically just plays like a little novella if you want to treat it that way. It's
Wait,
interesting.
so you skip the fighting or
Yeah.
you just auto-fighting?
Yeah, the battle
you can skip
system's
it.
fun. I
Oh.
wouldn't skip it, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's strange. Also,
I
Kim,
skipped the whole game. That was the mode I
You can
chose.
turn the game off.
This
now.
better be what I think you're talking about.
I wrote down Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 is now on Steam.
Oh, wow.
Did you review that game?
Yes, I did. I gave it an 8. It's a really good game.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love that series a lot. I'm really excited for when the third entry comes. If it comes out here, it should, but it's not been announced yet. What I'm mad that you're missing here, Ben Hansen.
God, I'll write it down real quick.
Kingdom Hearts 3 announced a new world.
That's right. That effing trailer. Leo, did you watch this thing?
No, I didn't.
Monsters, Inc.
Good God. That trailer,
Okay, Goofy looks a little weird. I'm not going to lie.
Goofy looks weird.
He's
But
already
I
a monster.
I like the new character designs. I thought Riku has a cool new design. I thought it looked good.
The trailer was really confusing to watch because I'm not a Kingdom Hearts guy, but I'm very much a Disney and a Final Fantasy guy, so it's a weird thing where I'm attracted to it but repelled by it at the same time. So watching that trailer, every bit of like the Kingdom Hearts lore, I was just wincing and shaking my head. Not from the outside world, I think it seems very impenetrable, but then every like Pixar or Disney focused moment, it seems like that's really good. Like it seems like they're getting the character moments right.
Yes.
How do you blend those two from a storytelling front?
I am just so excited for Little Boo.
Yeah, for Monsters Inc.
For Monsters Inc. You know what? It is interesting. They have reasons for them to go into those worlds, but yes, the main attraction is for them to visit, to be in the Disney worlds. They don't always have the best reasons or stuff that completely makes sense. But you know what? I've been following this story. God, I was thinking about it. I think Kingdom Hearts, the first one came out when I was in high school. I'm going to age myself here.
Oh, you age?
Never.
What the hell?
Yeah. And I've been following it for so long, and I was just thinking about it the other day because I was like, and then 2 came out when I was in college. And so I guess 3 now is going to come out when I'm an adult, finally.
You retire. Yeah.
But there's stuff that they've like left hiding in that story. I remember there's a lot of characters who kind of had tragic fates, and I feel like 3 is going to like bring some answers and closure on that.
Sure.
Really?
When 4 comes out, are you just going to put a gun in your mouth?
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
sorry.
But do you feel
A
like
squirt
3,
gun.
have they said anything about it being like the end of a trilogy or anything like that?
Well, I did interview Nomura, and he said something like, the end is also a new beginning. So I don't know if it'll follow the same cast or whatever, but they're not going to let go of that franchise. People lose their minds over it. I mean, it's got to be difficult to work with Disney, but they seem to get all these cool worlds anyways. So
that's why I'm wondering about the licensing, though. That just seems like it'd be a huge pain in the
But they wouldn't keep doing it if they couldn't pull it off. So.
Well, but do they keep doing it? They've done it.
All right. You're not. Spin-offs have had new worlds in them as well. So you have to remember there's Birth by Sleep, there's Dream Drop Distance, Chain of Memories, if you want to count that didn't really have new worlds.
And there's a weird thing, talking about just the licensing to Pixar specifically. I was talking about it to Kyle earlier in the week, but the person at Pixar who's an associate producer, I believe, on Kingdom Hearts 3 then as well, but she's in charge of like making sure that the Pixar licenses are being represented well within the Kingdom Hearts series. Her name is Tasha, and she used to work at Double Fine. She was the creative director for Costume Quest.
Oh, interesting.
I'd love to get her on the podcast someday.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
would be great.
Bogged down in Disney and Square and all that stuff, but I think that'd be really interesting. Just what are those conversations like? How do you communicate that?
It's actually funny because when I did talk to Nomura, this was back at D23 when they revealed Toy Story, I was asking him like how the process was for that. And he kind of seemed like not flat out saying it's a really frustrating and annoying process, but that like, everything has to be approved and gone through and double checked and making sure that they're like represented the way Pixar wants. And he seemed to make it sound like it was quite more than he has to do with other franchises that they put in games. So I thought that was interesting. I was like reading the subtext of he's like, I'll think it's okay, and then they'll just be like, no. And he's like, and I just don't want to do another revision.
Are you as excited to visit any of the worlds that they've announced so far as you were excited to visit Steamboat Willie in the second game? That was like the coolest thing, right?
That's a cool idea.
And I haven't been as excited about anything they've announced so far for the third game.
I mean, I've wanted them to do Pixar for so long, and they picked my two favorites like right off the bat. So I'm stoked, and all the footage looks really good so far. I don't have any complaints. I like the transformations that he can do now with the Keyblade. I have a feeling they'll never get Star Wars, but oh my God, if they got Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's going to be
amazing.
But talk about licensing hell.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't think it'll ever happen. But the Keyblade as a lightsaber,
I'm holding out for ants.
And having Rey.
I want the minions in there. Can you do that?
Yo,
let's get Mario in there
based
on the new movie. Anyways, from Kingdom Hearts to Kingdom Come Deliverance, we're here to talk about games.
Everything Kingdoms today.
Absolutely. Kingdom-themed episode. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a bizarre game. Jeff Morkifava is reviewing it for us right now, but Leo's been playing it a fair amount. I started it last night. It is a game that we didn't have access to early, so we're coming in hot as well with some very raw impressions, so take everything with a grain of salt and whatnot, because it's a big, expansive game. But it's a game that there has been a real, I feel like, grassroots groundswell of passion and enthusiasm for. People writing into the podcast like, why aren't you guys covering this game? This could be amazing. And so I was a little bit disconnected about why are people so excited about it? But then Joe Juba was wandering around the office yesterday just like a maniac as we're shutting down the office. And we're talking about just like the pitch for this game. And he explained it in a way where it's like, yeah, I understand that. So it seems like the easy pitch is you take a Bethesda game, let's take Oblivion, for example, but all real world, all grounded, no magic, no nothing, which is an interesting idea. But I didn't understand until starting it last night that it's like, it is real world. Like it takes place in the 1500s. Like it is.
You don't know how to read at the start.
Yes, exactly. It's a historical open world RPG. Leo, what do you think of this thing so far?
It's growing on me.
Oh, interesting.
I played it in 2 gamers sessions.
What's a gamer session?
A session of gaming done by a gamer.
Oh, okay.
How long is a gaming session?
These here were about 4 hours apiece.
Okay,
that's a good session.
Oh man, that is a
that
gamer
is a good
session.
session.
Solid session. I'm not going to do my own heart too much. But I played it here, and I did kind of a stealth or a sneaky speedy run. Sneaky speedy run, I believe it was called, with agility and speech. And then I didn't have my save when I got home, so I did more of like a brawler type of character there. And just seeing how different the opening few hours can be, depending on what skills you have and what you like aim to do, I was really impressed.
Really? Okay, so the fighting, let's just dive into that, because that was one of the strangest things starting it up, is I didn't really expect it to be as For Honor-y as it is. Like, it's very positional focused, and even when it comes to, like, brawling, like, I assume you did the same thing, but early on in the game, I ended up just boxing with some lousy drunk that owed my dad
Kunesh.
money. Kunesh, yeah, exactly. And that fight took forever.
Yeah.
What is it? Am I
You
doing
level
it
up
wrong?
like 9 times if you're doing well in the fight.
Just beating the hell out of this drunk guy in the beginning?
Yeah. I put my points into, what would you put your points into? Because you can distribute 2 points across speech, agility,
Yeah.
strength, and vitality.
Just like real life.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it starts out and you're a set character named Henry. You don't get to create a character. It's much
Aw.
less Bethesda
Yeah, it's
than
too
I
bad.
expected going into it. But you start out, you're Henry, and then your mom's talking to you, and it's like, hey, what were you up to last night? And then each dialogue choice is assigned or connected to a different skill. So it's like, oh, I was hanging out with my girlfriend, therefore my vitality is very good, mother, or whatever the hell that connects means.
Are you serious?
Okay.
Is
Yeah, I
this
think
for
that's what it
real?
was.
Oh,
yeah.
crazy.
So I went strength
Wow.
and vitality, I think. Wink, wink.
Oh,
It's a
that was
good
me
combo.
too. For my
Oh.
second run. Brawls, they can last a while for sure. I like how the fights are kind of rare after you get past the opening tutorial parts, and they're more meaningful when they do happen.
Yeah. So then what have you been warming up to throughout the course of the game? What's won you over?
The diversity of choice is really cool. There's the part, I don't know if you got to it, where you're like trapped in the castle.
No.
You kind of have to escape a castle at some point, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. But my first time playing, I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I eventually got mad and just like stabbed the guard that wouldn't let me out. And then they put me in jail, and then when I got out of jail, they just like banished me from the castle. So that's how I escaped. But then the second time, I like talked to more people, and I found some really interesting ways to do it, which I don't want to spoil too much. But like getting armor to like camouflage your way out, that led to some really, really fun, interesting encounters.
So overall, it's just a real lack of power fantasy?
Exactly.
Okay.
I used to get mods for Skyrim that would make me not the Dragonborn anymore.
Really?
You just get to that point in the story quest where you're supposed to shout at the wall and you can't do it.
It's like, I'm sorry, you're too weak.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. I don't
That
know
is
why.
one of those things that I loved about the Skyrim games is just the diversity of play, though. You could be stealthy if you wanted. You could just like go all magic. Sounds like this has some of that,
Yeah, more of that in certain places, but
Yeah.
less of it in others.
but it works. Like it seems like both are as competent.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
seems
liked
like it.
both ways. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, there's lots of really interesting stealth factors, like not just your visibility, but how conspicuous you look when you are caught. If you're dressed all covered in blood and stuff, people are going to suspect you of stuff more.
That's
And
cool.
much like a game with so many systems, and especially in an open world setting like this, little buggy, little
yeah.
janky out of
That's
the
what I was
gate.
going to ask. How was the performance?
Sometimes it feels like just a parody of Skyrim. just the
That was in
dumbest
the
stuff,
marketing,
way
I
dumber.
believe.
Yeah, just getting trapped at the bottom of a ladder and like you just not being able to get on it for like over a minute.
Oh,
There's
no.
some weird bugs like that. Invisible walls on a staircase. I had to like jump around.
Yeah, I was starting it up on PC last night, and on the main menu, it's kind of like a beautiful hillside with a house on the background and whatnot, just majestic. And so right out of the gate, I was like, all right, well, I'll go into the settings here, crank this up, full screen, blah, 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 1080. Let's really get this baby rolling. High graphic settings. And then hit save. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Over 2 minutes of loading before it went back to the main menu. And then when it got to the main menu, just nothing had any texture. It was like low poly, idyllic hillscape in the background, and then just slowly loaded in.
That's what it really looked like back then.
Apparently. So it seems to be okay, but definitely rough around the edges out of the gate here.
Definitely some open world jank.
Yeah.
For instance, when I stabbed that guard I talked about, he was like, ow. And then I stepped back and then he walked up and talked to me. He was like, hey, you're that guy who's been crippling people.
Like me.
Yeah. Technically correct.
How is the story so far for you?
It does nothing for me. I'm more in it for the open world kind of smaller stories that emerge, but it seems competent. I've heard that people like it, but I'm not a big
Yeah.
Does it involve
period
like
piece guy, I guess.
real people from the past, like real kings and queens and
It
whatnot?
says 9 historical figures are in the game in a trailer.
I don't know, Reeves. Does the name King Sigismund of Hungary mean anything to you?
My uncle King Sigismund?
Yeah, it's a lot about, at least in the opening areas, about like, oh, the Holy Roman Empire is crumbling. There's a debate about who truly rules it. And I hope that it doesn't end up with like, oh, it turns out Henry was the real ruler all along. I haven't looked into it, but I'd be shocked if the game's going that direction.
He's the chosen one.
Since it
He has
seems
this dragon shout ability.
just
really
like,
cool.
go back on everything. But this game came from such a weird place. It started out with a lot of members from 2K Czech, the old Mafia team. So it's weird Mafia 1 and 2 talent moving over, and then eventually this game was kickstarted a couple of years ago for like another $2 million, but it just feels like eventually it was then picked up by Deep Silver, who's now owned by Nordic, who's also THQ. It's a complicated family tree, but Deep Silver is the one right now that actually published this game, and it feels... It's kind of fun when you don't have access to a game early in Game Informer, and then it comes out and it's just trying to get a read on like, what are people feeling about this on the internet? And it seems to be all over the place, but it definitely feels, from what I've seen so far, like this is one of those games that could become a real cult hit.
Yeah.
There's going to be that fan base for a jankier, more grounded, kind of retro feeling open world RPG.
Yeah, and that's what I was feeling the first day, because the first day I played it was just like one day before it came out, and I just had no context on what it was, and I was like, is this terrible? Is this game a huge pile of trash? Because there's just some weird, really obtuse stuff and some really weird mission design, I felt like at the start, but it really grew on me the more I came to understand it and put up with the jank. You know, just like Skyrim, you've got to just tune some stuff out.
Become a little jank rat.
Yeah.
So... Jeff, I'm very curious to hear his thoughts after he pours a lot more time into this thing, so take everything with a grain of salt, but it should be coming up soon on the site, and maybe we'll have him on the podcast talking about how it pans out over the course of dozens and dozens of hours, because it's an interesting game to be released.
Do you want to talk about the weird save system?
What the hell is this? I was trying to save my game, and it said the option was grayed out because, quote, you have no savior schnapps.
You didn't have any savior schnapps.
What?
What does that mean?
There's a consumable item in the game called Savior Schnapps. You can buy it at taverns, or
This
you
sounds
can
like
brew
a
it yourself.
joke.
It's crazy because you get 3 early on, like in the tutorial, but like I'm 4 hours in my current playthrough at home, and I have across the whole game seen half of the amount of money that one of those things costs. Like I have no possible understanding of how I could possibly buy one, and I'm way too early to craft one, so I just used my last save to save
Oh my God.
before I played tonight and have to figure it out.
Oh
What?
my,
A couple questions.
That's not realism. What is that?
Do people just love ink ribbons from Resident Evil so much that they want to go back to the system? Second question, are they going for a pun on savior? Like save your schnapps? The hell's with
To answer your second and most important question, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
First off, it's really a strange thing because, you know, you spam saving so much in Skyrim, or you can in those Elder Scrolls games. But in this one, there was a part where, you know, my brutish character, not particularly deft with a lockpick, mind you, and I had to use exactly one to open this chest. So I used my second to last savior schnapps there, and it became like a tactical move that I did. Like I used a consumable to be able to like try that lockpick over and over again, and it made it more like satisfying from a gameplay perspective than if I could just autosave or quick save whenever.
They didn't have quick loads back in the 15th century, Leo. Come on, man. Let's be legit for the time frame.
Yeah, they had to drink their schnapps.
They had to drink load your snops to
Yeah.
load up an old save.
But also, one of the first mods of like 5 total mods that exist for this game is unlimited saving.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You can get drunk on savior schnapps.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You
That's
do
it.
actually get drunk. Whenever you save your game, you get a little bit drunk.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's 100%
That's great.
true.
I love realism like that.
There's a little like blur to the image or what?
It's a little wavy, and you get like a little icon in the lower left reminding you that you're debuffed / buffed.
So every
by
time you
drinking.
load the game, you're drunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
Well,
this
that's like
sounds
real life.
interesting, we recommend checking out Kingdom Come Deliverance, at
It's
least
a
for
fascinating
reviews.
sim.
Yeah. Gosh, it could go any which way,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to see what that fan base looks like by the end of the year for Kingdom Come Deliverance. Reeves, real quick, and this is going to be a natural segue, going back in time, for the latest issue of Game Informer in the gear section, you checked out the SNES Analog NT?
Yeah, well, for the upcoming one, actually.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. So I just checked it out recently, which, man, it comes out soon?
Yeah.
Good question.
I've seen people really hyped about this thing, on Twitter at least, and I'm curious what you think of it and what it is.
Analogue did one for the NES, which people were really excited about, and this was like a block of aluminum. It looked really slick. It was a cool looking system, but it was like several $100s. It was very expensive.
Yeah.
The benefit of it is the fact that they use a special chip that they can reprogram to act exactly like the architecture of these old systems.
Okay.
So unlike emulation, you have an exact, as close to an exact replica of an old system without actually having an old system, if that makes sense.
So it is a device you can buy that you can plug your old cartridges into.
Right.
Okay.
And
an HDMI out, I assume.
yeah, it's an HDMI out. It's HD. display capable. There's actually some cool effects, kind of like the SNES Classic that came out last year.
Yeah.
You can add different scan lines to it. You can.
Who does that though?
I
You do that? Please write into podcastgameformer.com if you're a scanline guy. I would
Please
love to
do.
know.
But it's there if you want it, I guess. But yeah, you can also kind of like stretch the image. You could stretch it into an HD or a widescreen image if you were crazy.
Don't do
I
that.
guess.
If you
Don't
do
do
that,
that
write
either.
into podcastgameformer.com because I want to know who you are.
Somehow block you from listening.
Do you play these games on your Zune? That's what I want to know.
Oh, please write into
please write in.
podcastgameformer.com.
But yeah, it's, there's some emulators out there that don't play well with certain games. And
Yeah.
so this is kind of like if you have a bunch of old cartridges and you want to play them on your TV, your HD TV, this is like a great way to do that. And it looks great. It looks better than the old systems because the output's HD.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
an
yeah.
HDMI.
So you're impressed with it overall?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's about $200 for the new
Ugh.
one,
Good God.
which is the price of an old system, I guess. Like back in the day, it would have been.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it is kind of weird that, the SNES Classic just came out. That's $80. This is just the system. It comes with Super Turrican. You ever played
Really?
that?
No, what is that? Like some helicopter game?
It's a Factor 5 game. I haven't spent much time with it yet. I never played it back in the day.
Oh,
so.
that's odd. Okay.
But yeah, that's the only game on it. Otherwise, you need actual cartridges.
Interesting.
But it's kind of a cool system. It's very much for like the hardcore, like I have a bunch of old SNES games and I still like playing them regularly.
Yeah, I don't
That's
want to
what I
emulate
recommend it for.
anything. I don't want
Right.
the SNES Classic. That's interesting. Leo, do you like old games?
They stink.
Then you can get the hell out of here.
Screw you!
But what if, Reese? What if you really wanted to go back and play what a lot of people consider one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, Secret of Mana?
Oh wow, I didn't know we were segueing to.
Oh, yeah,
So
you
here
better
we are,
believe it.
here we are, here we
You
are.
would need an old cart from the
Surely.
SNES to play that game.
The only way to do it is by popping in an old Super Nintendo cartridge. There's no way to play it. It's locked on Nintendo's hardware forever.
Forever.
Moving on, I guess.
Oh, well.
Unless...
Wait.
Kim, take the segue.
Oh, you want me to talk about this now?
We're switching veins.
I got distracted by Kyle.
Kim, they remade Secret of Mana and it's available on everything.
Yes.
Okay, coming out on Friday.
Oh no, it actually comes out tomorrow, Thursday.
Ah, there we go. Okay, that's today.
No,
then.
Today,
no,
the day
it's
the podcast is out.
Wednesday.
It's not important. The
By
point
the
is...
time you're listening to it, it's out.
It's out. It's out by the time you're listening to this. So yeah, Secret of Mana is my favorite game of all time.
Wait, what? Really?
You know what?
That one?
Everybody has
That old SNES game that you need a cartridge to play?
everybody has that game that kind of really defines like where they're gonna land on the gaming scale. And I played that game so many times and just thought it was awesome every time. So I was a little worried to go back to a remake of it because
Yeah.
I'd played it a few years ago and I still thought it played just fine. But
And a lot of people maybe played it on the Super Nintendo Classic where I think
Yeah.
it still plays okay, even though you can't play 3 players, which is weird, but what are you
Yeah.
going to do?
so yeah, you can play the 3 players on the remake.
And the
Here-
remake, real quick, it's coming out on, is it on everything? Xbox
no,
One,
it's on
PS4?
PS4, PC, and Vita, I believe.
No Switch?
I think a Switch version might come later. But
Okay.
they haven't I don't think that's been announced. or-
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. if
Sure,
it did.
sure.
Um,
First impulse, I look at it. We did a new gameplay today showing it off, and visuals don't impress me. It seemed like
let
a
me
lot of
tell
old
you.
fans are ready to vomit because it looks so 3D vanilla bleh iPhone bleh.
so I'll put it this way: it's been a fun walk down memory lane.
But you were running by the end of it.
Hey,
Oh, that's a joke. Hey,
this
say,
is why. This
say
is why
thank
I'm
you,
having
Kim.
so
Say
many.
thank you for that joke.
Thank you for that joke.
Yeah.
I'm having it's very hard for me to talk about this because it's very sad for me to say that they added voice acting, so there's never any voice acting, and the voice acting is awful. Just it sounds like they took people who had no experience or a little bit and just put them in a booth, and everything is voice acted. Even if you talk to an NPC, it's voice acted. Why not cut the price to have NPCs voice acted to give it to somebody? But anyways, the voice acting, it's so bad that even emotional moments and scenes totally wrecks. You just can't even I'm really having a problem with the voice acting.
Is it super Japanese, anime, over the top? kind of that voice acting? Is that
A
what-
little bit. It's just like, too, these characters never really had much, like, a lot of their personality was up to your imagination as you're growing up. Like, it wasn't like this guy's like this or that. And so now all of a sudden they've given them like these bigger personalities too, and it just doesn't feel, everything just feels off.
It
And,
doesn't,
like,
it doesn't line up with who they were in your head when
Right,
you originally
right.
wrote them. Okay.
and I'm trying to look at it as like, no, maybe it's just that when I played this, it was different. But that's not even just I recommend turning the voice acting off.
Oh, you can do
switch
that.
you can switch to the Japanese voice track, I believe, on there.
That'd be
Yeah,
good
I
too.
did check that.
Oh, that's nice.
That might be better.
Is there a classic mode too where you can turn the visuals back to the original?
No, people got mad at me for suggesting that when we did the new gameplay today. And the visuals don't bother me as much as, because I feel like it still captures like the vibrancy of the world, and the monsters designs all still look really good to me. But
blobbies jumping around.
mush booms and rabbits.
Rabbits.
We all know these.
Yeah.
pretty good.
But I don't know. It's just, I'm having a hard time with it on the sense of like the AI is really bad right now. And so
Worse than Super Nintendo AI?
well, I'm going to try to go back and compare. I don't
Oh,
remember
interesting.
it being as bad. Like I said, I'm like a few hours in now, when we're saying this, like maybe 7 hours or so.
Okay.
And I'm babysitting those biatches constantly.
Whoa,
I'm just gonna
ooh,
go out
I'm
and
sorry
say
for
it.
that
They're bringing out the anger. Like
Yeah.
all my health items goes to keeping them alive, because it's important to still have them alive to distract the enemy. But what I am liking still is those boss fights are just freaking awesome.
Really?
But they're really tough too.
Like the design or the actual mechanics?
The
'Cause it's-
design and the mechanics with them too, they all do crazy things. Some of the stuff though feels, it's definitely got that old school design that was like, God, I think I was better at this when I was a kid, where you just like get hit by no matter what you do, a fire attack, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I couldn't even move out of the way of that, so I'm just gonna burn here for a while and hope that I didn't burn through all my health items on my AI. The AI also is like walking into walls for me, and another thing was like the screen would just like stutter and stop in certain places. So like, here's what is kind of frustrating to me. I feel like they took a game and whenever I feel like you do a remake, you either do justice to the original or you enhance it somehow I feel like they've managed to make this game worse instead of better.
Yeah.
Just my initial impressions on it, like maybe this will change. I don't think so, because I've played a lot of it, and so I feel bad that this is almost going to be a lot of people's first experience with the series, because it's just
Maybe.
rough, and like the game doesn't do you any favors to explain always what you need to do, how you need to manage things, where you need to go next. They added in a little thing where you can like get a story synopsis to like be like, oh, you should go here, but then you're kind of
That's nice.
yeah. And the only a good change is that they added hotkey buttons, so like shortcuts you can put, so you can just have like your health on the R1 button or your magic on the
that's cool.
L1 button, which makes, because it was a really menu heavy game when
Yeah.
it came out. But I'm still in menus a lot, and it seems a little convoluted. So I wish they would have fixed it a little bit more. And even if you can say, I'm going to test out co-op to see if the AI stuff is still, if that solves some of my problems, but like
Yeah.
I should be able to play that game without people and be okay.
I think a majority of people will try and play it that way
Yeah,
for sure. Is there online multiplayer? Do you know?
No.
Oh, there isn't.
It's just couch. They're like
Okay.
staying true to the original was their reasoning. But
Did they add any wayfinding or anything? That was something that when I played back in the day, like I got lost. I remember not knowing where to go next. Do they add anything like that? Like, here's where you go next.
Other
here's
than
a
the story
better map
synopsis?
system?
just the story synopsis,
it.
you go into there. So I've had like a few points where I've been like, okay, I think I go here, and I've been right just based on my own memories of it. But I imagine somebody who hasn't played the game is going to be a little lost.
Yeah.
Also, as soon as they see that first sequence play out with those voices,
Yeesh, Kyle, did you play this back in the day? Kyle Hilliard's here, by the way.
Yeah, hi, Kyle's here. No, I didn't. I never played it, and I was actually kind of interested in playing this version of it. Between you and Dan, just always talking about how much you love that game. I was like,
Because you like things that look terrible, right?
I love things that look terrible, but that was gonna be. I should check this out because Kim and Dan always talk about this game.
Yeah.
I'll play the new version of it, but now I'm
It's
kind
like
of,
it's.
I don't know if I really want. I
it-
should just go play it on the SNES Classic if I'm going to touch it.
Yeah,
Seems
that's
that
what I
way.
actually am saying, recommending. Like, it's killing me to sit here and be like, this remake is not being as fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I
It's
don't
the
even
opposite
think,
of Shadow of the Colossus
Well,
on PS4.
Yeah, it really sounds
and I
like it.
don't even think it's a thing of, the original is bad, you just never realized it type of thing, because I've gone back and, like I said, played that. Like, but what I'm going to do this weekend before I get my review out, so that's why we're holding the review, because I feel like as a big fan, I need to do justice here to this remake, and I want to compare it a little bit more to the original directly, and also get in some co-op and see. But I have a feeling too, like, people have to be prepared. This was an early action RPG, so there are many outdated elements
It's very
which
primitive.
they could have changed some stuff around. It's hard because I look at a remake like Final Fantasy 12, which I'm sure was easier to remake, but they took like fans' complaints and like fixed those issues like with the systems.
Yeah.
And kind of here, I just feel like the least you could have done is fix the AI, and I don't even remember, frankly, if the AI was that bad or not.
Right.
You know, but
It's
still,
aggravating.
Well, that speaks to it that it never stood out to you, and now suddenly it's standing out to you.
exactly.
Yeah, but we all played it when we were dumb kids. Like, I don't know if that
Yes.
really would have popped that much.
I think Kim was pretty smart.
You had to be to play that game.
I was a dumb kid. I
was
played
sitting
that
there
game.
doing some of the bosses last night, and I was just like, how did I deal with this as a child? Like, I
Yeah,
must have been
just
good.
I was a god.
But it's a very important game to me, and I feel like it helped me become an RPG fan.
Yeah.
Like I said, I bonded really hard with my grandpa over it, and I find that you can see the unease as I talk about it, because I'm like, I love this game, and I
Don't
just
do this
wanted
to me.
this to be
But
so
there's a
good.
chance it's continuing what I think people call the mana curse of every game since Secret
Well,
of
that's the
Mana's
thing too. Like,
release.
they want to bring the series back, and it's just like we've tried. Like, the series heyday is over. Sadly, I don't want it to be, but
Not
you're-
like this.
not like this.
Not like
Kim,
this.
I feel like I should apologize. Like, I'm sorry that
Yeah.
this game is so
Hey.
underwhelming.
Well, yeah, I feel
Holy
like people
cow.
are gonna get mad at me, and I'm just like, no, I wanted to love it. I wanted it to be everything. I want to be like, you should play it, and I'm just kind of really underwhelmed by it,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
little just disappointed.
I'm sorry. Yeah, on the flip side, though,
Happy times.
Age of Empires Definitive Edition is coming out next week. I've been
Oh.
playing that a little bit. Speaking of remastering games from the 90s.
You played that a lot when you were a dumb kid, right, Hanson?
Yeah, it made me a genius kid. And then I went and played Secret of Mana and finally understood it for once and all. Yeah, I played it a lot. It was a very important game to me. Like, the first one, I guess, came out when I was 10. Blew my mind for the RTS genre. Like, what is this? I just build up a town and I can put in cheat codes and get crazy sci-fi troopers, like, blowing up lions and elephants. This is the best game ever. And so the Definitive Edition is very exciting just because they have remastered Age of Empires 2, which everyone loves, is the best in the series. Age of Mythology, which is my favorite in the series. They also remastered it, made expansion packs to both. They've been giving so much great treatment to that series. But still, Age of Empires 1 it's a little bit, not to this extreme, but a little bit in that Warcraft 1, Street Fighter 1 territory where it's like it's an important game, but gameplay wise is not going to hold up as well as later ones. So it's a cool historical move to go back and give the remastered treatment to this game.
It's like The Simpsons on the Tracy Ullman show.
That's right. Remastered, the definitive edition of that.
Finally.
Yeah. But
Did you play it yet?
yeah, I played it a little bit last night. It doesn't come out till next week, but it is definitely a case of going into that game and then remembering like, well, this is that game. This is a flood of nostalgia. The old menus, they redid a lot of the music, but the music all sounds great. Like, just these building designs. I haven't seen building designs from the Bronze Age from this specific race. I haven't seen that in 18 years. This looks great. Fantastic. And then as you go on, you remember like, oh yeah, this game was pretty simple, wasn't it? Okay, I think I remember the big beats. But still, it's so exciting to have this game playable Not on Steam, mind you, just in the Windows Store for now, which is frustrating. Hopefully they'll eventually release it on Steam. But just to have that playable in a modern way, you can play LAN, you can play online multiplayer. They have all that stuff ready to go. Because even back in the day, playing Age of Empires 1 online was a nightmare. Like you had to go to mszone.com and like launch it through this gross Microsoft Zone portal. It was a disaster. And so to have like an easy to play online version of this classic game is really cool just for a historical basis. No pun intended with the history. Reeves, you're an RTS guy. Have you ever been curious about the Age of Empires series?
I
when
have.
It started?
Did they Age of Empires 2? Was that remade like 2 years ago or something like that?
I think a little bit. Oh, yeah, maybe like 4 years ago, something like that.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
I think I tried to play that when it came out, whenever that was, and it didn't really hold my interest super hard at this point, you know, just because like modern age and all. They didn't give it dumb graphics and voice acting, which is what I really wanted.
They actually did add a narrator in the definitive edition. They changed bizarre little things. I mean, all of the graphics have been changed, but because I'm a nerdo, I went in there and started playing just a random match against the CPU and tried like all the old cheat codes. And they did an interesting move, and I don't know if they did it intentionally.
Wait, real quick, did you remember them, or did you have to look them up?
I remembered some.
Oh, wow.
Because there's some very good ones where you can make a car. In the original Age of Empires, you can spawn a black car that would launch missiles, and it was called, the cheat code was Big Daddy. And so then when Bioshock came out, I remember like, oh, it's like that cheat code in Age of Empires.
Oh, and there's those cars.
And then for the expansion, they made a white car that could shoot nukes that was named Big Mama. And so the weird part is they removed Big Daddy. Big Mama's still in there. All other cheat codes are in there. But even more bizarre is they have like the original super pixelated version of those old sprites. Like they didn't remaster the cheat code characters, which I don't know if it's like an homage or just they didn't want to do that.
Were they worried about licensing and
for Big Daddy?
Well, for Bioshock, I don't know.
I can't
like
imagine.
It seems like a weird thing. But
I would love to know. I think it's just tear down the patriarchy, baby. I think you got to do it. Get that guy out of there. I don't know. Maybe not.
Big Daddy?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's
That is
weird.
weird.
That they
I think
wrote
it's
that
kind of
one
cool,
thing.
though.
Yeah, it's cool that they have all that in
Who
there.
else is it for other than people like you who have this tons of nostalgia for the original game?
Right,
You know?
and I feel like Age of Empires Definitive Edition overall is kind of falling in that camp of like, there's so many people out there that are like, I would like to have that computer sitting on my hard drive ready to play at any point. So I think it definitely fills that little crack in the wall for you. But as far as like Age of Empires games that are still great to play, I still think Age of Mythology holds up well.
Go back to that one?
I would recommend that for sure.
All right, I might have to do that at some point.
Definitely. Cam, there's also a couple other RPGs.
Always in my life.
Super quick. I'm very curious about the Final Fantasy 15 mobile version.
Yeah.
It seems wild and kind of cool just to have this chibi version of that entire game running on a phone. Is it as cool as I think?
It's pretty cool. So what you lose with it is obviously because you're never going to get this on mobile, but like the breathtaking like world and like everything that was going on, like the monster design.
Just
and all
Titan coming out as the summon and flipping the entire
I mean, they
Earth
still
around.
have him, but it's just like it's not the same as when you kind of walk into a new Final Fantasy world and you're like mesmerized for a second and like, oh, what am I in? So you miss a little of that. What's really cool about it though is just how well it sticks to 15's story, like right down to like some of even the side quests you do are straight from there.
Because it is that game code running underneath this thing, right? As far as you know?
Weird. Yeah, it's this. I'm just surprised how close it is because what it seems like to me is this is like a stripped down version where they cut some of the fat and it's really accessible to play and easy. And I think if you haven't played it and you're like, I just can't devote all that time to an RPG right now, this is a quick, they're in chapters way to play through it and at least know the story and what's going on with it.
It's so weird to hear the voice acting like come through on that.
Yeah, and it's
like,
fully voiced.
but their mouths don't move.
Yeah.
Which is kind
but
of
it's the same VO line.
Gosh, why does Square do that? That's the same thing with the Secret of Mana remake. Sorry, when they're voice acting, their mouths don't move, and I'm like, what the heck?
It's hard.
It's hard, but it is weird because they just straight up pulled the audio over, so it's weird, but it works, and I like that it exists.
Here's where I'm at. I really want to play this on Switch. And I know that Tabata, the director, hinted that they're going to be making a version of 15 for Switch. Do you think it's going to be this version?
This is what people have been speculating about.
I want it. I think the battles look cool.
The battles are fun with the new system. I was worried about that because it kind of is, a complex battle system. But I feel like they've simplified everything for touch controls very nicely and added the depth. And I like the altered ascension grid for this. It's simple, but also gives you freedom to kind of make decisions on where you want to put your points.
Is it open, or is it you're moving kind of like screen to screen? It's not open world. You're not getting into your car and
it's
driving
way
around,
more
right?
linear. You do drive in the car.
I've weirdly played like the first 20 minutes because I saw the watched the opening cutscene. I moved around a little bit, but I didn't get back in the car.
You
and, like,
do
go
get in
anywhere.
the car, but your car is just like conversations again that they would have. Those long.
So it's just like watching a
conversations.
cutscene, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. Like you can move the car like left or right, but it really doesn't do anything or matter. I don't know if that takes off later in the game with any mechanic there, but
Once it starts flying around.
I know I was like, this battle system simplified like this is really good for playing on mobile and on the go. And like I said, it's for people who who either just want to relive some of their favorite like Final Fantasy 15 memories in a different format, and then also for those who can't just sit in front of a console for hours and hours on end and just can do this in little spurts.
Yeah.
So I was more impressed with it than I thought I'd be.
Huh.
They did cut the Florence and the Machine song,
Well,
which
Oh, really?
I actually really liked that moment in the game where it's
they
Stand
probably
By Me
couldn't
kicks
get
in.
the rights.
Yeah, probably. So
It's not like a weird MIDI version of Stand By Me.
I'd be in for that. That'd be cool.
She probably said, I never signed up for this mobile bit. And that was it.
I only do realistic looking Final Fantasy.
Don't bastardize your graphics, Square. Not on Florence's watch. Kim, we don't need to dwell on negative things, but Lost Sphear turns out not so great.
Nope.
Well, you liked Kingdom Hearts stuff, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Let's just make this. No, I was actually hoping, and I had, sometimes we see these games in like early phases and we're like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm worried, but at the same time, it's like, oh, they could pull it off. And like, I feel like they made, so story-wise and everything, almost worse than I Am Setsuna, but then they improved the battle system. And I love the battle system because now you can move around and like target multiple enemies at once, which you couldn't before.
Okay.
Which just adds some new. And you also get these mech suits that you can battle into that you can only be in for a period of time.
Is there
Anyways,
snow?
No.
Oh, look at that.
No, not really.
I Am Setsuna was just all snow.
Yeah,
okay.
but it's like it's the classic design, but it is a lot of repetition, a lot of grind, a lot of gosh, I finished the story and I thought I was done with it. And then it ends on a cliffhanger and you go into like a new game plus, but like you wouldn't know it unless you loaded up your save because it doesn't tell you. And that thing is drawn out to all hell. You are just like going from what is it called? Like not an escort mission, fetch quest to fetch quest to fetch quest. And it just gets drawn out and old. And like the dialogue isn't interesting. The characters aren't interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you remember what you gave it for a score?
I either gave it a 6.5 or 6.
In the 6s. Sorry, Lost Sphear. Hey, let's get smart, everybody. We're no longer dumb kids. Let's get smart and go in
adults.
swinging with a sophisticated game for gamers like Civilization 6 Rise and Fall.
Whoa.
The new expansion. Help me out. The first
it
expansion?
Rise
First
and Fall?
expansion, yeah.
Okay. Rise and Fall?
Rise and Fall.
Is it more Rise or Fall?
It's very Rise and Fall, meaning kind of like in the middle there.
Don't
like,
do this to me, Reese. Don't
No.
do this to me.
It's not a bad game. It's
Okay.
actually really good. But I say that because I don't feel like it dramatically changes a lot of what Civ 6 was. Civ 6 is a very complex game and had some flaws, and I think they tried to smooth over some of those flaws and make a more robust game. But
what are the flaws?
I don't think they like changed a lot. Well, one of the things that they added, which is cool, is the new age system. So all the civilizations progress through ages together now. So when all civs move forward in an age from like classical era to like the Renaissance era, those kind
that
of ages.
seems like it's tearing Civ apart.
I think it's cool. Like the difference now is that you can enter a dark age or a golden age. So depending on how well you're doing, the next age you go into could be like really fruitful and positive and have some buffs associated with your production. Or if you enter a dark age, like your loyalty of your cities might go down. It might be harder to accomplish things.
Wait a minute. So everybody in lockstep is moving forward through the ages, everybody on the map. But if you're not doing well, you'll move forward and it'll plummet you into a dark age. But
Right.
still, the overall time frame will be the same for everybody else.
Yeah, you'll still be in the classical era or whatever, but you'll be like a dark age for you.
And so it removes the aspect of Civ of like having tanks roll up on barbarians and that whole thing?
Well, no, people still progress through their tech tree individually.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
not different.
Okay.
So you can still have tanks and roll up on like a bunch of barbarians
Thank God.
who are throwing spears at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. One thing it kind of does, it tries to smooth that out a little bit though, whereas if you're focusing too much on science, let's say, and you're trying to barrel through that tech tree, it might be harder for you to hit some of the bonuses you need to get to a golden age. So you might get stuck in a dark age because you're not as well rounded. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
I'm still confused about what the flaw is here. What was the flaw with Civ 6 that they're hoping to fix with this overall idea?
Not enough people played it. Yeah, it's just adding more things to the game, I guess.
Okay.
Let's say like the governors. Like now you can add governors to your cities as well. Is another thing, and like that helps you manage your loyalty of your people.
Okay.
I think one of the things that they changed was, I'm still kind of early on, so I haven't explored all these systems as far as I should. But in the original Civ 6, you could sort of spread out your nation and just sort of like dominate, and it felt like you were always best off just like rolling up with your tanks and just dominating everybody. And I think that kind of like with the bounces they've done have helped kind of smooth that out so that it pushes you away from combat occasionally. So you're not always just like, well, I'll just murder them. Because
Right.
you can take cities away from people just by inspiring them because your city is so much cooler than theirs.
Yeah, of course. The coolest around.
The coolest around.
I'm trying to figure out like where you're at, still relatively early on with your time playing the game, but it seemed like Civ 5, people complained about it out of the gate, and then it seemed like each expansion got better and better and better
Right.
until, was it Gods and Kings by the end? Where people were like, great game, the best. Civ 6,
Best Civ ever.
right. Okay, Civ 6 starts out, and then this expansion, is it starting the same curve of Civ 5, which is getting better and better, or do you have a rough read on the trajectory of this thing?
I would say, yeah, it's better. I mean, you would hope that an expansion would do that anyway, right?
I would hope so.
I think sometimes you can mess it up and make a game worse with an expansion. In this case, I do think it's better. I don't think it's like a dramatic reworking of what Civ is. So, take that for what it is. Like it is better. There's more to it. Some of that stuff feels very passive.
Yeah.
Like the governor stuff and the loyalty stuff. I didn't feel like I was interacting with that a whole lot throughout the game. So there were moments where I was like, oh yeah, I'm just playing Civ 6 again is what it felt like.
Right.
But that said, like all these things add up and like they're a better game. So if you're like a big fan of Civ 6 specifically, like, yeah, you should check out Rise and Fall. You'll
miss
probably still like it.
There we go. Hey, speaking of early impressions, grain of salt, Kyle
the
Hilliard.
Theme of this episode.
It really is. It's bizarre how this works out. Help me out. Fee, Fi-Fo, Fum?
I guess they said Fey in a Nintendo
Fey.
Direct.
Okay.
But I thought it was Fee.
This is a game
Uh,
that EA showed up
EA
years ago at
Originals.
E3.
Yeah.
It was a little purple demon guy flying around the woods, is what I
it's
vaguely
real
remember.
spiky in a spiky world with spiky animals. A lot of spikes.
It felt like they were trying to recreate the magic of Yarny and how Yarny
I mean,
took
it's
off.
it's that same like Umbrella, right? EA Originals.
Yeah.
Like they kind of are trying to do these kind of artsy,
Yeah.
smaller games with distinct art styles.
Okay. Is it more Rise or Fall?
Well, I am not very far into it. That's a caveat for every game we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like we've all just kind of started these games. My first early impressions, I probably played about the first 2-3 hours last night, are on the Fall side.
Okay.
I don't like it out of the gate. And I like these kinds of games.
What kind of game is it?
Artsy games that
Okay.
are kind of small and look different.
Give me a genre.
Okay. I guess platformer.
Okay.
Yeah, is
So
probably.
it's like
there's
an
some-
inside.
There's some. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of thinking through this out loud. There are puzzles and there are platforms, and you kind of get new abilities. Like I was able to start climbing trees after a certain point, and then I unlocked wings so I could kind of float between platforms and stuff like that. But
Artsy 3D platformer.
yeah.
Okay.
But like it doesn't control great, and like it kind of it holds your hand a lot because you can open up a map to see where you need to go, and you can also call in a bird to like tell you where to go as well. But I still, even with both of
Games
those,
are very silly.
found myself getting like stuck for a while. I'm like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I even when they first showed it, I didn't really love the art style. It just kind of looks just like jagged, and I don't. And spending more time with it hasn't like convinced me that I should like it or that I like it more. And there was like a sequence where I was actually, you can see it in our new gameplay today, where I was actually, which was kind of a cool idea. I had to climb this giant creature like Shadow of the Colossus style, where I had to like start at its legs and make my way up. And I just found myself getting just so frustrated that like I just went to bed mad because like I couldn't climb to the top.
Don't go to sleep angry, Kyle.
That's what they
That's
say.
the key
That's
to a
what they
good
say.
relationship. You can never go to sleep
Just
angry.
don't throw the controller.
I didn't throw the controller, so I made it that far. But I'm prepared to be enamored with this game. Like I want it to convince me that it's good. I like unlocking new abilities could be cool. Maybe I get some new ability that makes moving around more fun.
Yeah.
There's like these stealth sequences, and I'm just not. It didn't really seem to fit, and so that's like first 2-3 hours. I'm as much as I wanted to like it going in. I am not so far.
Okay.
I'm not the only one telling sad stories today.
Everyone's meh.
Oh,
Reeves,
Yeah.
Can you counteract this? What's good? What's good out
what's
there?
good in life?
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm still playing Shadow of the Colossus, man. That game
That is
freaking
true.
great.
That's
Someone
good.
wrote in with an email that I didn't include, but just saying like, man, that photo mode is so much fun in that game, and it is really addicting once you get in the rhythm of just constantly hitting. Was it down on the D-pad?
Yeah.
And just rotating everything around and just lining up these amazing shots.
I got aggro on top of the 13th Colossus, and he was falling down.
How'd you get him up there? This is the flying one.
Yeah, the 13th Colossus will come out of the sand.
Yeah.
And I just got lucky. I put in quotes that aggro got stuck on it as it came out of the sand, and she hung out up there for a while, and then she just fell off, and I
Kyle.
frantically pressed down on the D-pad, and I was like, I gotta get a picture of this.
Just say you have mad skill.
I have
That was no accident.
It was a sick stunt.
Okay. Were you able to like go into photo mode and look at Agro's eyes and just like cartoon like?
It was, well, it lets you switch between. It's like supposedly when you go into photo mode, you can switch between focusing on Wander or the Colossus.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't let me switch to the Colossus. I don't know why. Maybe that one's just too big. But I got as close as I could, and I'm sure she was fine.
But realistically, I love this game. You love this game. But
We all love this game.
But I need
Let's
to just
move on.
bow down to you because you're insane and you've like kept playing this game after beating the amazing remake.
Yeah, I did all the time trials on normal and all the time trials on hard. I have bomb arrows, and I have the crazy sword that kills Colossi in one hit. I've never done that stuff before. It's always been there, but I've just never
Interesting.
wanted to take advantage of
Well,
it.
what's
you
the
know?
Are you
new
gonna-
thing? Shut up, Reeves.
Go get all those like berries or whatever they are, and like unlock the new area.
I don't think I'm going to do that because there's like 70 coins like hidden through the world.
They're coin berries.
Coin berries.
My favorite Final Fantasy enemy.
I still can't climb to the top of the tower though. I got to play it through one more time.
Are you going to do that?
Yeah, well, because
Oh,
I have a
no.
sword that kills Colossi in one hit.
my
I can do it in like
goodness.
2
I guess you could.
hours.
As much as I love that game, I've never had any interest in any of those bonus weapons. It's bizarre.
Oh, I also have the parachute now.
There's
which
a
is-
parachute?
Which is basically, it works like the paraglider from
Just like Link to
Breath
the
of the
Past?
Wild.
Or yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I meant.
Link to the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But you can just jump off a ledge and just kind of float your way
That's
down.
amazing.
That's cool.
You could describe some item and I would have no idea whether or not it's BS that exists in Shadow of the Colossus, which is absurd.
Oh, dude, I got the cell phone. I got
Really?
the cell phone.
Is that
Yeah.
a Blue Point edition? Or
Yeah, yeah.
I've
Wow.
had that. I got it.
Wow.
I was telling Kyle I just beat that game this weekend. It's still really fun. But in my memory of the original game, like there's a big black ball that shows up and sucks in Wanderer and aggro, and like
What?
this isn't real. Like it just like I
It's just a
played the
weird
game.
memory
It was
that
like
you
this a
dreamed
weird
up.
memory of how the game ends, and like I was way off. Of what
Bernstein
happens.
Bears situation
Yeah.
or Sinbad the genie situation, except it's a black ball that absorbs everything. I mean, you're not, without spoiling anything, you're not that far off.
There's elements, but like my memory of it was very off when I actually played the thing.
You're just horrified looking at yourself in the mirror.
I kept waiting for it to happen. I was like, wait, is it going to happen now? Like, nope.
Yeah, he just kept texting me.
Kyle, what's wrong? What did they change the ending for?
Kyle. All right, good games are still good, you guys.
Yeah.
You want to move on to emails?
Sure.
And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. We got some emails that people sent into podcast@gameinformer.com. Wonderful emails. People sent in feedback, questions, thoughts, news stories they want us to cover, Words of wisdom. Reeves will be happy to hear an endless supply of things for us to rank.
Oh, perfect.
Whether or not they enjoy playing old games in fake widescreen, everything under the sun, anything that makes the show better, send it to podcastinginformer.com. We read off some of the best ones. We choose our absolute favorite and then ship that person out something really nice. And I have to say, lately, I've actually been shipping nice things and then nice things plus, where I've had a lot of nonsense lying around the office and I'm shipping even more gifts to people.
You're just sending them our trash.
Or one person's trash is another person's treasure. When your Game Informer's trash is like free games and stuff, that's pretty
true.
good.
We got the best trash, guys.
No one questions our trash. First, email. Well, there's a kind of a mix of feedback. It was interesting. Like Jeremy wrote in saying the God of War text adventure that Reeves, you were a part of, was hilarious. It had him in tears.
You guys should finish it up.
You made someone cry.
Boy.
I met a guy this weekend who actually was like, hey, good job on the podcast. And he mentioned the God of War thing by name.
That was
What?
me this morning.
Yeah, what the hell, Reeves?
His name was Kyle.
He sounds hot.
He does.
Very attractive.
What? Where's this?
It was a thing at church.
Did you know that he listened to the show?
No.
That's
And he
cool.
just said that God of War text adventure was
It was a
funny?
guy I hadn't seen in like 5 years.
Wow, probably because he was just searching.
He's just
iTunes,
too busy listening to podcasts.
but searching for God, and then stumbled
He's
across.
like,
the God of War text adventure.
I
God
know
cast.
that
Oh.
guy. I know that guy.
That guy
know
can
him.
ruin any text adventure.
That
but
guy
then
put egg all over Atreus' face.
Atreyu.
Oh,
Josh,
I go to church at an ancient Greek temple.
Okay, I got it. Josh wrote in saying we should have taken it more seriously.
Whoa.
For part 2, yeah. You guys can
It's going to be.
I
deadly
want you to
serious.
finish it because I do want to know more about that character, and I don't want to actually go play that game. I would love for you guys to do that for me.
I don't want to spoil anything, but after we recorded that, and as I was editing it, looking for like B-roll footage of Atreus and stuff on Sony's site, I saw that they. Turns out they took that entire text format from that adventure, and they actually have like a professional VO actor like reading through that story. So if you want like a 15-minute version
really?
of like what actually happens, they totally beat us to the punch. But it's not like an interactive text adventure. They just kind of boil it down to like a short story.
You seem very worried after we did that. Out of 10, like what was your scale of like this is a total disaster?
I liked it. I knew it was going to be a thing that people either loved or hated, and I think we got a lot of people that loved it, and maybe like 2 that were like, "You should have taken it seriously," which is fair. But I wasn't that worried. I think that JV was worried, but I was kind of excited just to put something weird out there. That's enough navel gazing. Hey, navel gazing. Andrew from Rochester, New York is saying, last week's episode, a reader proposed opting into loading screen ads. Well, bad and good news. Loading screen ads have already been done way back in 2009. Wipeout HD would feature video ads from a fairly wide variety of companies during some lengthy load times.
Cool.
I did not remember that.
I was
That
surprised to
sounds
hear
good.
you guys hated that so much.
Well, it's just Joe, but Joe hates
I thought it
everything.
was actually kind of a smart idea, but
It's the smartest idea of all time. Eric Howder says, Dear GI homies, hello. I fear, he's so formal about this, I fear that you all must be high. I was just listening to last week's show, and I was going nuts in the car and swerving in traffic. Jesus Christ.
And we're being
I'm afraid for him now.
I was going nuts, swerving in traffic when you guys were answering the question about what became of light gun games. For those that have interest, there are at least 7,000 light gun style shooting games in the VR space. My favorite is Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, but I can think of many others off the top of my head. Robo Recall, for example. JV gave it 8.75. Yeah, you're right. We should have talked about VR.
Solid point.
But it's not light
Straighten
gun.
your car out on the road.
There's
You
a
did
difference
it.
between on-rails shooter and light gun specifically, isn't there?
I guess. I mean, Robo Recall is, you're kind of standing in one spot and shooting. Until Dawn is more an on-rail shooter.
Literally.
Where you're like shooting off screen to reload and stuff. It's pretty close.
What a thing to get.
Just killing yourself.
Eric's losing. I think he has a sense of humor.
Yeah, I
but
know.
That's fine.
Also, as long as you're safe, buddy.
Yeah.
Mike and Scott, Mike from Alberta, Scott from Colorado wrote in to say that they're digging out their Zunes and listening to the show on Zunes again. They are Zune listeners. People say we don't talk about Microsoft on this show. How much love have we given to Zune in the last couple of weeks?
If you combine them, they become Michael Scott. That's pretty exciting.
That's true. Dave from the Minneapolis area, get specific,
Our buddy Dave?
says, oh, I wonder. I don't know. He says, I'm playing catch up on my podcast, finished listening to the December 7th show, a show which will live in infamy. I don't know if I said that. During the email segment, I believe there was a discussion that ended up with the comment that more movies should have martial arts with guns. Does anybody remember this?
He said that like Christian Bale movie?
He says, just wanted to recommend Equilibrium, Christian Bale's movie, where they practice gun kata martial arts with guns, if you haven't experienced it.
Just watch the opening scene on YouTube.
There's also Wanted, right? Where he's like
Nice.
curving the bullets.
Yeah. Definitely play the Wanted game. Don't miss it. Heyday of licensed games. Okay, now we're getting down to business, Kim. Here we go. Jose Rivera writes in and says, loved listening to Kimberly Wallace on the What's Good Games podcast, episode 39. Kim repped the awesome that is GI. It's great to hear more female voices in games media. Please discuss.
Agreed.
Yeah. Great.
Here.
I agree.
I mean, I hope you guys like me.
Little old me. I listened to that episode, Kim.
You did.
I'm your biggest fan, Kim.
Oh man.
You want to hear Kim talk about Black Ops 4? It's the place to be.
Black Ops.
Was that really what you talk about?
No, well,
I saw the
we
clip
went
where you're talking
down-
about Earthbound a lot.
Yeah, I went that. Yeah, there's a bunch of like stuff that people have heard over the years about me, but those girls are great and it was fun and we all got along really well. We do anyway. So yeah, no, I'm glad that those positive comments, they really touched my heart because I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm a little bit shy, so doing audio like this is terrifying to me on
I
so
have
many
bad
levels.
news. You're on video, too.
I know. That's like even worse.
Oh,
so
you're doing a good job.
sometimes, thank you.
Matt Thomas writes in and says, if you could pull one game you know will be released from the future to present day and play it, what would it be? It could be something you've seen trailers for coming out in a few weeks. That seems like a waste. Or something you've only seen a title card for. For the sake of the scenario, let's say servers are up and you'll have others to play with if it's a multiplayer game. I love that Matt is very thorough. Hang on. For my pick, Matt says, I'm going to go with The Last of Us Part 2. I'd play through the story and make blog posts about story details, but frame them as rumors and predictions for kicks because I'm an
Wow. That's interesting.
There we go.
So for mine, both are on the horizon, and it's a Sophie's choice moment of, and I know which way I lean, but Red Dead Redemption 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3.
Now,
And I think Kingdom Hearts 3 because I've been waiting a lot longer for that in my life. But
and if you have this magic power, one is, I'd say, a slightly better bet for releasing in 2018. So if you want to pin one down, I'd go Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, that's probably true.
uh-uh.
He said it had to be announced.
Yep, or title card. So Metroid Prime 4 would work.
Teaser image.
I think that works. What level? Oh, go for it, Kyle. What are you going?
Well,
where are you going with
there's
this?
the Gen Design teaser image, which is very ambiguous.
What is Gen Design?
That's what basically Team Ico now.
Yeah.
And they have a very just compelling image on their website of a woman sort of sitting on a slate, kind of like Mono in Shadow of the Colossus, and a very terrifying looking monster in the corner.
What type of monster?
I don't know. It's kind of babyish.
Does that
It's like a
count as an
baby
announced
monster.
game?
That's why I say, is a teaser image count?
We'll count it.
Okay. Well, then my answer is Playdead's next game.
Yeah, because they put an image out. I was just going to say that.
Wait, what is their next game?
They show it looks like an astronaut crash landing in the snow, and he's got the parachute pulling behind him. It looks cool. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know about either of those teasers.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the same game.
Oh!
Reese, what are you thinking?
Lawbreakers. I can't wait for that game to come out.
You're such a
Oh my
Be
god.
nice.
Wait, did that come out?
Lawbreakers.
You
Oh, I'm
be
sorry.
nice.
I was going to say the Final Fantasy VII remake because that feels like
Oh.
it's so far out.
That's
That
true.
it, like, why not pick a game that's just like impossibly far out?
Yes. All 3 episodes are you going?
And I don't know if it's going to be good, but that's actually why I'm curious to play it. Yeah, I will play the collected edition, please.
Reeves, I also wrote down Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Really?
Completely in the same camp
Yeah.
of just in terms of curious about what that finished product will actually be like. All right, if you had to cover your eyes right now,
If I had to.
predict the Metacritic score for the Final Fantasy VII Remake
Ooh.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
What will the section on Wikipedia say?
I'll say
where it says
An
feedback?
8-1.
8-1
81.
on Metacritic.
Okay.
What'd you say? Wait, what?
I said 87. But I have no idea. Yeah, very curious about that. But it's interesting we didn't go too far out with these predictions. Maybe Final Fantasy VII is the
The
one.
rest of the year is very mysterious.
It is, isn't it?
I think E3's there's going to be a big old glut of things.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seems like the industry is trending
Yeah.
towards shorter release windows, shorter
Yeah.
announcements,
Yeah.
and then release, which, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd imagine a lot of people would be screaming, "Say Cyberpunk, you!"
Oh
That's another
god,
good
I should
option.
have said that.
Yeah.
What the? Oh my god!
Oh, who's the guy swerving in his street?
I'm sorry, CD Projekt. Oh.
Please forgive me.
They're very
Well,
offended.
actually, I'm not a big CD Projekt guy, but you are, Kim. Like, what between Red Dead, Kingdom Hearts, and Cyberpunk, does that change your choice at all?
I do Cyberpunk.
Really?
I have to see
wow.
what that's about. I just have to. I mean, Witcher
The sort of
3,
mystery makes it more enticing. I
Yeah,
guess.
and I think like it'll be interesting to see what they can do that's not Witcher. And it could be a big failure. Like sci-fi is not always easy to pull off.
Yeah.
Especially where they're going, and if how ambitious is it going to be? I mean, Witcher 3 kind of put them in that space where people expect them to go big or go home. So
Yeah. There was an email or somebody I think tweeting recently about like, oh, it seems like we're really close to hearing a lot more about Cyberpunk. I don't know how true that is, but I think a lot of it is like kickstarted by their Twitter account tweeted beep a while ago, which is a very good subtle reminder that they exist.
yeah,
Fitting the
and
theme.
now everyone thinks.
Yeah, but I guess also like the author or the creator of original Cyberpunk game designer, I guess I should say, he was talking about visiting CD Projekt Red, and he said that like he was hinting that he saw the next trailer, and he said that it was very focused on death, like showing how much death exists
Oh,
in
that
this
sounds
world.
like CD Projekt. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it sounds
it's
pretty
it's going to
upbeat.
be grim again.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
bad.
kicking myself about Death Stranding now.
Oh,
I
of
think
course.
maybe I think
Oh,
I might switch
that
mine
was
to
a
Death
good one
Stranding.
too.
One of my biggest regrets is I was at CD Projekt Red for the Witcher 3 cover story trip
Yeah.
the day that they revealed that Cyberpunk trailer. I didn't know that it was going to be the year 2018 and we'd still be dying to know anything about Cyberpunk. So when I'm sitting there in the studio and like all the studio leads are like reacting to that trailer, I remember thinking like, I should just on the fly pitch a video where it's just them reacting to people commenting on that Cyberpunk trailer.
Yeah.
I really should
Yeah,
have
it
done
would have been
that
really
because now
good.
it's like 5 years later. That's all we have is that exact Cyberpunk trailer.
Well, there was that tweet where they said, "Please don't read about the leaked
Oh,
version
yeah.
of the game."
Oh yeah, I guess the game leaked. I forgot about that part. Yeah, that's a weird one. Anyways, good question, Matt.
Love it.
Marcus Ault from Minneapolis says, have any of you tried out the new prop hunt game mode in Call of Duty World War II? It's the strangest thing I've ever seen in the COD game, but also the most hilarious by far. Basically, each team takes turns being turned into a random object like a bucket, bench, piece of rope, then hide someplace around the map for the other team to find and shoot them. My friends and I were laughing hysterically at a piece of rope flashbanging us and then frantically sliding away as 4 people chased and shot at it. Yeah.
Sounds great.
That sounds really good.
I did play it. I don't know if it's still available. It was only a short window. I hope they make it permanent at some point.
Yeah.
It was super fun and just really bizarre and great to see something that wacky put in Call of Duty, especially like in a World War II setting. And mission accomplished for creating something so bizarre that made me reinstall Call of Duty World War II just so I could check out this one-off mode. Like, it's pretty tough for a series that you're kind of not all in for to be compelled to be like, I'm going to go back and check that out. And doing something as wacky as having a piece of rope flashbang, you're like, yep, that's exactly a good recipe.
There was a game we played on or What the Heck Is This show that was kind of like that. It was like, except it was more cartoonish. It was about like witches, and it was kind of billed as like a hide and seek game. Like you go
Yeah.
hide, and then other people have to find. I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously just ripped from Gary's Mod's Prop Hunt.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the weird thing with this, and I forget, it's been a long time since I've seen Prop Hunt in Gary's Mod, but in the Call of Duty one, it is just the entire team unloading. And so I don't know if they should have limited ammo a little bit more, but it's just like the entire team is just shooting every object. And so it's not much of like a
okay.
picking and choosing what you think is real or
Just
not.
spraying the walls and see what comes to life.
Yeah,
Okay.
but still that said, when you're like a barrel like flopping around and then like trying to stay completely still, stacked next to a bunch of other barrels, like it is really tense when then a bunch of World War II soldiers are running towards you. It's like, oh, just keep running, just keep running, just keep running. That's
cool.
It's really cool.
That's really cool.
Anyways, it also reminded me of something else that's kind of in a similar vein, I feel like, where it's kind of repurposing things, and I think it'll draw
Changing
people
veins.
back in. Changing veins a little bit is the Assassin's Creed historical tour mode that's coming out next week.
Oh yeah.
Someone else wrote in, excited for that, and I can't wait.
Oh, I thought that was out for some reason.
No,
it's not, huh?
it's a free thing for the game. We'll hopefully talk about it next week, where it's just like a cool historical guide through the sites. I just love the idea of Ubisoft repurposing the crazy amount of work they put into the history angle
It's
just
smart.
for that.
Also,
Super
apparently you can buy it standalone for $20, which I think is really cool too.
Oh,
just like
that's awesome.
just buy the history version of it. You know. I think it's
Yeah.
neat.
They could show it in schools.
Yeah. Here's
They
a
should.
question for you, Kim.
Oh,
Not directly, but it is accidentally.
okay.
You just didn't know it yet. Hayden Rogers writes in and says, hang on, I have a piece of hair stuck to this. Okay. Hayden Rogers writes in from Corbett, Oregon, says, Dear crew, I was browsing through the top 50 list, and when I got to comparison page comparing readers' choices to the editors, I became very confused at your choice for best rhythm game. Where did Hatsune Miku come from? I don't remember you guys reviewing that, though I could be mistaken. I'm not objecting to your choice. I'm just wondering how the hell that game got picked.
It's a great frickin' rhythm game. Hatsune Miku is top tier.
Top tier rhythm game?
I mean, there wasn't that much out this year, and honestly, that is the best Hatsune Miku game to come in a long time with like the most tracks and like it's fun.
Do you know the reader choice offhand?
Yeah, it just says a better game. No, I don't remember what the reader's choice was.
But to answer the question, that is how it got on our list. Was Kim in the meeting?
Yeah.
Exactly. I really love this game.
You
And,
can hate me.
I wouldn't recommend hating Kim, but here's how the conversation exactly went, as far as I can recall, is rhythm games. What do we got this year? And then Leo saying, I'm Leo. Drop mix is technically a game. And then people went around the horn. Is it?
It was 40 minutes of us talking, is Drop Mix really a game?
and then the question is it a rhythm game? It's a music game. But
well, isn't the category
the
called
category
music
is like
rhythm?
rhythm music.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
It's all
All
the
right,
same.
Leo.
And then Kim was like, Hatsune Miku's good, damn it. And
It
then,
is.
All right, there we go.
He
Done
probably
deal.
just doesn't know it because he's never tried it.
Well, can I play this game? Is it
Can
on
you
Steam or
snap? Can
anything?
you snap to that?
How do I play
I
Hatsune
can't
Miku?
snap. It drives me nuts, and I
Are you-
really wanted to snap right there.
You're fading
Here,
out of
just-
existence. Kim,
Wait,
no!
Kim.
Oh, no!
Kim,
the
just
photo.
move your hand as though you're snapping. There
You
go.
cannot snap?
Got you covered.
No,
I don't think you should have a say in a music rhythm category if you can't snap.
I
What?
can't. But here's
How does this game work? Is it just like you button pressing things, or
That's how most
Yeah.
rhythm
You
games
go
work,
on David
dudes.
Letterman.
but
yeah,
like with
to her
the
songs. She's a
touchpad?
Vocaloid.
Is it
What is it?
Is it button based or is it touchscreen based? Because is it DS or Vita?
I think this one was. I can't remember, but it's button based.
It's just button based. Okay, okay.
Okay, so it feels like you're playing like a rock band or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
To her
To
song.
With
Hatsune
cool
Miku.
Vocaloid
yeah,
music.
Yeah.
Cool. She's my favorite singer.
She's the
Brendan
best.
Gerlinger from Medford, MA. Somebody have is that Maryland or Maine? Massachusetts?
I think it's Nebraska.
Nebraska. Writes in and says, I love the show. It sounds great. Thank you. What kind of recording software is used for the show? Technically, OBS is how we record the audio, but we have a backup in Audacity. Anyways, Larry Ash writes in from Adelaide, South Australia, God's country, says, not so much a question or topic, but an idea. Next time you have a guest like Imran calling in via Skype, would it be possible to sit him in front of a green background and then chroma key him so it looks like he's sitting at the table? Leo in the booth, is this possible?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, cool. There we go.
Oh,
Tech
promises
stuff
made.
out of the way.
Kyle's actually Skyping in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jeremy Amacher from Eagan, Minnesota says, hello, podcast people. Hope all is well on the game front. It seemed to be okay
Yeah,
from that.
it's kind of a rough
Yeah.
week.
It's okay.
I'm
It's
hunting
interesting.
monsters.
Beginning
I'm
of the year.
happy.
What's that?
I'm hunting monsters. I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. Monster
Oh, in that
Hunter.
new Monster Energy racing game?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
God, I can't even remember the full title.
I get something like that.
The official video game of Monster Energy drink racing. I don't know.
Extreme.
I'll check it out soon.
Anyways, Jeremy says, I've heard from numerous people, whether it be in interviews, podcasts, or on the forums, on the good old interwebs, that they're excited for the virtual console on the Switch. They also can't stop talking about it, wonder when it's going to be here, and are actually angry that it's not out yet. Yep, that's a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't hate Virtual Console, and totally understand why you'd want to pick up an old game that you don't have or maybe you've never played yet, but a lot of these people already own these games on multiple systems, plus the original system it came out on. People have admitted having the game on, let's say, the Wii, Wii U, 3DS. Now they also want it on Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not condoning an emulator for playing old games that way. But in my opinion, I have no interest in owning a game in multiple systems.
And that's fine. But I would like to play some of my favorite Nintendo games on my Switch.
Secret of Mana, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah.
Honestly, Earthbound, I
Yeah.
would love on the Switch.
It's
Even though I
just-
had it on the Wii U, the Wii U's clunkier to,
Yeah.
play
It's just,
around
man,
with.
It's just probably the best. I mean, it's the best mobile console, period.
The screen looks
Right.
very nice.
And it would be great
Yeah.
to have those old.
Plus, I
Super
can't play
Nintendo.
Super Nintendo games on my 3DS. I don't have the new 3DS. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's important.
You know, I think I
Sure.
could be wrong about this, but I saw someone tweeting about it recently, and I think they might be right. I don't know that Nintendo has ever used the words virtual console.
I don't think they have.
When it comes to like playing old games on the Switch. They've
No.
said that like Super Nintendo games will be on there. They've promised that.
And they said like, oh, we'll add an online mode to Balloon Fight, which
Yeah.
game of the year right there.
But they haven't called it virtual console. So
No.
I don't know if they'll just be just like, you know, a Link to the Past will just be sitting in the eShop next
Yeah,
to
it'll just be part
next
of
to Monster Drink Supercross or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I-
how like Sony and Microsoft do it at this point, right?
Yeah, they just have a storefront for
Yeah, for
consoles.
games, it's just a storefront.
Yeah, I just
So-
feel like if you compare it to the Wii and Wii U, like the Switch is obviously where you'd rather play
Oh,
those
yeah.
games. And, you know, obviously if you had the new 3DS, you could play on there. But
And we're all suckers, is what it comes down
Yeah,
to. And I
100%.
will absolutely buy Mega Man X for a 9th time so I can play it. on
you
my
don't
Switch.
have to do that.
I
Kyle.
don't know if it's that we're all that excited about it as much as it is. It just makes a lot of sense for Nintendo to put those games on there, and it's surprising that they haven't started to do that yet.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of like, well, this is going to be coming, right? So where is it?
Well, in theory, we'll learn about it at E3. Maybe. I mean, you could always be surprised. You can-
did they launch their online mode yet?
No,
No.
that's in theory
Push
coming
that.
later
That's-
this year. It's the question
That's
is
what
like, what do
they
they do
keep
that with?
pushing back, so I can never keep up with it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, is it coming up or not? I knew it wasn't out yet,
Well,
but
the big news was that there was a typo and everyone thought it was pushed back to next year, and
Oh,
Nintendo
yeah.
had to come and correct it and be like, no, it's this year. We don't have a date for you, but it's not going back any further.
Labo, typo, a lot of fun going around. Cody Stutzman from Springfield, Tennessee says, hello, I just picked up Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 and I love it.
Good.
Oh, God. The game has been beautifully remastered by the team at Blue Point, which makes me excited for future projects from their studio. I was wondering what game you would like to see remade by Blue Point. Personally, I would like them to tackle Demon Souls or Silent Hill 2. It's interesting.
Ooh,
That's
Silent
actually a
Hill
pretty
2.
good choice.
Just only Silent Hill 2.
Silent
That'd be
Hill
really
2?
cool.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Um,
I would do that.
And our
Personally?
what do we call that?
I'll
feature?
remake it right now. You daring me?
Yeah,
Oh, is that a
remake-
challenge?
Yeah, I don't think you're man
Gauntlet
enough.
Throne.
What was that feature, Kim, that we did that was like looking forward to 2008? Bold predictions. Demon Souls remade by Blue Point was one of our bold predictions.
Really?
Yeah, and that was actually, I think Imran gave me that one as one to add to that list, and I it seems pretty. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
For a far-fetched thing, that's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, it's not that far fetched. I would like to see that. It would be cool to
Yeah.
kind of go back to Demon Souls.
Does any part of you want to free that genie in a bottle, though? We talked about it in the interview a little bit on the show
And
when we
remake
had
the
them.
Genesis Aladdin.
And remake, no, but have them finally make a new IP.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool for
And
them to just make their own game.
would it be like the Order 1886? Like, just remember? Because that was like,
Bad?
yeah.
What are you getting at?
well,
Because
just-
Ready at Dawn. I mean,
Ready at Dawn. That was
yeah.
their thing. It's like, these guys are great. They should
Right.
work on their own
They're
IP.
tech powerhouses.
Unleash
yeah.
the genie.
We worked on we worked on Daxter. We brought Okami to the Wii. We're gonna make
Yeah.
our own thing now.
And then
Yeah.
the genie was released, was more like the genie from Return of Jafar. It was like, it's kind of like a thing that I like. There's cool stuff in Order 1886.
It was a good looking game.
Best looking game ever, I'd still say.
It still looks like amazing.
Yeah.
Not even like amazing. It does look amazing.
Yeah.
My answer is super boring, but I want an Eco remake.
That's
Just-
so lame.
I know it's really, really lame, but that's the one I want the most.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'd play
I'll
that.
That or Street Fighter 2 the movie. Like one of those.
Point Games is Street Fighter 2 the movie.
Yeah, one of those.
but they can't get Jean-Claude Van Damme, so they just have to.
Why not? Make it so he looks as old as he looks now.
So you just
Yeah.
want them to take just some of the worst games of all time and make them good?
The Blue Point Challenge. All right.
Prove it.
Prove it.
You want your own IP?
Oh, you can make one of the best games of all time even better? Why don't you make one of the worst games of all time?
You want your own IP? Run the gauntlet. It's so stupid. All right. Eagle from Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, the eponymous Eagle from Kentucky says, hey, GI guys and gals. That's you, Kim.
Hey, yo.
I was wondering if you've ever felt that a game was made specifically for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite game. For example, Call of Duty Black Ops was this game for me. Perfect shooting, wild story, thoughtful map design, and a great progression loop. Don't get Kim started on Black Ops over here. So has a game ever been made for you? P.S. Thanks for all the nonstop great games coverage. I don't listen on a Zune, but you guys constantly brighten my day. Thank you very much.
I've definitely called things Kim games, but I don't ever think anything is specifically made for me.
Well,
So
you
that-
haven't interviewed all the developers, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like, we made this just for Kim Wallace.
And now we just
'cause
can't get
we
a hold
knew.
of her to let her know.
Kim, please play it. It's out.
But no,
running
I
out the
get
window.
that feeling like this game just has all the right parts, and I think Witcher 3 was that for me.
That's a game made for you.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting choice.
We call Overwatch is a Kim game.
We? Who's we?
Top 10 Kim game called.
We call
My
it.
cult, okay.
Oh
My
my
cult to the
God.
Kim
I
cult.
used to say Posse. I don't know. There's game. I can't think of one that stands out for me. That's just like this is. Oh, I call Horizon a Kim game. Horizon Zero Dawn.
One that I thought recently, like while I was playing it, I was like, this just checks everything that I like about games as Hyper Light Drifter. Like there was so much stuff in that game, just even like the way enemies worked, and because like whenever I have the opportunity to like build my own character in like an action game, I like characters who can get in quick and attack and get out, and that's like what that combat is built around. Hyper Light Drifter is getting in, getting a few hits, and getting out and moving as quickly
Like
as
a
possible.
relationship history. I'd go with.
Sounds like prom night.
Yeah, I guess there's this dumb game that I booted up, not knowing really anything about it, and started up, and it was just delighted. Like this couldn't be. Oh my god, that was Roundabout. A couple years ago, came out on Xbox One and Steam, but a comedy-focused game with terrible FMV sequences based on the gameplay mechanics of Karin, this dumb rotating stick game that I thought I was the biggest champion of, and then it turns out, nope, those folks over there at No Goblin also just love Karin, and that game is still so much fun.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say like Stardew Valley or something.
I mean, that's the obvious example. But
When I was a kid, I was really into like when Final Fantasy VI came out, I think, and I was like really into X-Men at the time. I was like, what if they just made a RPG that was also had the X-Men in it? That'd be the best thing ever. And then later in life, X-Men Legends came out, which was close enough for me that I was like, this is everything I want.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say X-Men Destiny. Is that what that game was called?
Yeah, that's sorry, I misspoke. X-Men Destiny.
Is that the Silicon Knights?
Yeah.
game?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
When are they going to make
God.
X-Men Destiny 2?
Did anyone play that? Like, period? Like,
Rainer?
right.
I assume.
Maybe
Some,
we
some,
reviewed it.
I think
Somebody
you might have
reviewed
reviewed it.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. Yeah, people don't talk about it. Josh T. from Houston, Texas says, howdy.
Hi.
Classic Josh from Texas. Let's get back to basics. Great question.
Oh, yeah.
People overthink these questions sometimes, but I loved it when I saw this one. Given the choice, do you go with warrior, rogue, or mage? Do certain RPGs garner a specific playstyle for you? RPG class, what do you prefer?
Warrior.
Warrior.
I mean, I always like think I should branch out and do like a rogue or like a archer or something, but I just want to hit things. Like it's so
Everybody's
easy to
going
go with-
warrior?
Yeah, warrior. It's like the best. It's like nice to be a tank
Best starting
and
line.
not have to worry about your health.
I mean, I alternate sometimes and be a mage, but usually
It's always like second playthrough.
Yeah.
Like that second playthrough is
Actually,
like
for
archer
Dragon
or
Age
mage.
Inquisition, I was a mage, which
You
I
started
wasn't.
mage.
Yeah.
Oh, bold move. I go rogue, thief,
Yeah.
thinking that it's just a cool character, and then it turns out that those mechanics are always maybe the most complicated, depending on the game. But it often is the case of like, oh, you got to be strategic. It's like, I didn't sign
I
up for
will
this
always
part.
I will always pick like two swords over like a regular sword and a shield if I have
Really?
a chance, because I just don't want to block. I don't like sitting there waiting for people to
I-
hit me.
Sounds like your
I do
relationship.
like sneaking in games a lot. When Skyrim came out, I remember Dan Reichert came over to my house,
Ew.
and I was like sneaking through
you
past
let him
enemies
in?
and like stabbing enemies, and I was like, he snuck into my house. I was like, Dan, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing in this game. And I was like, dude, it's Skyrim. It's like, yeah, but why aren't you just hitting things? Like he did not understand the concept of sneaking.
And this
in
is a true
Skyrim
story.
game.
Hand to God, when he was playing games up until I think that time when he visited your house, he didn't understand you could press individual buttons on a controller. He would just mash his fist
That's right.
onto the face buttons, just grunting like a madman.
That explains a lot of those reviews.
He didn't know how to speak. He was just like an ape. Oh. That's an ape sound, right?
It's a something. Matt from
Really
Simpson-
enjoying All Systems Go through, by the way.
Oh, it's very good. Matt from Simpsonville, South Carolina, writes in with feedback saying, because a while ago we were talking about like the best Final Fantasy game to play on mobile, and a couple people were like, "Oh, you idiots! Final Fantasy Tactics is available on mobile, isn't it? Right? Yeah,
War of the Lions?
War of the Lions, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Man, I love that game a lot, and I just want that on like a big screen. Please re-release that game. I want to play it on my
Hey,
TV.
Blue Point,
Blue
you
Point?
want to get off your asses?
That make a game for
Just
me.
be careful what you wish for with remakes.
Oh,
and-
good point.
Oh.
Yeah, just give it really dumb voiceover. That's all I want.
Ben from Greeley, Colorado says, I love when you guys discuss movies every once in a while. Thank you, Ben. I recently watched the film A Futile and Stupid Gesture on Netflix.
Me too.
It was the story of Doug Kenny and the creation of National Lampoon, and it ended up being one of my favorite movies of the year. Wow. However, I noticed its Metacritic only had a 54% rating. Did you like it, Kyle?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
and
I was
there's
thinking about
actually
watching
there's a documentary that I watched first about National Lampoon.
Oh, wow.
on
So you
Netflix
knew
as
his
well.
story.
Yeah.
Because there's
Anyway,
like
you should watch them both. They're
there's a
good.
twist at the end of that movie that I did not see coming, and I didn't know anything about the guy.
Oh, yeah, I did.
And I was like, "The what? This is weird. Like, what a weird way to do a biopic." Anyway,
it's good. Anyway, you should watch it.
Biopic. Which leads me to my question. What is your favorite publicly disliked movie of all time?
Oh, publicly disliked movie of all time.
I've only seen it once. I saw it in the theaters. I found myself defending Ang Lee's The Hulk. When people bash the hell out of the movie, I remember just being, maybe I was stupid in high school, but it's like, oh, the kind of picture-in-picture comic book panel thing is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I had a fine time seeing that movie, and then it's one of those things where years later, people are like, oh, that movie's the worst movie I've ever seen. It was an assault on my love for the Hulk. It's like, that movie was fun.
Yeah, it was fine. It was back before like the run of amazing superhero films we've had too.
Right.
So
And back before critics.
that's right.
I found myself recently defending Valerian.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
not. It's that movie's worth watching. Like it's really imaginative and weird, but it has problems.
Yeah, it has
undoubtedly.
its. Yeah,
You've seen it as well.
Yeah, me and John watched it, and actually we're like, okay,
It's
that
cool.
movie wasn't great.
I love the
but
beginning. Like
there's
the beginning is really great.
the character dynamics cool throughout that.
So
and
that's
then,
that's one. It's not the worst movie of all time, but it is. It was disliked.
Oh, yeah.
by the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
One of my favorite action movies is Bad Boys 2.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's an amazing
course.
action movie.
Have you
Is
gotten
this?
crap for that?
I don't know. Is it critically panned? I was hoping it was.
I think people love it.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty
well,
sure.
I failed.
Sorry.
You're doing all right. Adam from Connecticut writes in and says, hey, crew, what would make you more excited? The announcement of BioShock 3 or BioShock Infinite 2?
BioShock 3.
BioShock Infinite 2!
Okay. Wait, this is lightning.
Go,
round?
go, go, go!
XCOM 3. Oh,
I think Infinite 2.
I think Infinite 2.
what
Yeah.
about
What
System
did you say,
Shock
Kim?
3?
BioShock 3.
You said BioShock 3? I don't know. That I feel like Infinite wraps in both of those worlds really well.
Yeah.
There's more to explore there.
I
And
feel like
there's-
Infinite was 3.
And the fact that, especially with Infinite's DLC, it all got so loosey-goosey exactly what the definition was. But if it's just, I guess, setting and time for either, I would much rather go back to the clouds than walk around some dark hallways somewhere.
I've been to Rapture twice.
Look,
True.
I'd probably go
liked-
back to Infinite's world.
I liked Infinite. I remember that year I really surprised people by putting that as my game of the year because Last of Us had come out in the same year. But nothing tops like the original BioShock for me, and that world was just so fascinating in a way that I didn't get totally in Infinite. Like there's stuff with Infinite that I can pick apart that I just can't with BioShock for myself. So
I'm the complete opposite. Like, I didn't play BioShock when it came out. Just played it on the Game Club not that long ago. And Infinite.
That was really the first time you played it?
Yeah. I think I had started it before, but never all the way through. And Infinite, I just think, is infinitely more interesting. But maybe it's also a reaction towards the hype.
I mean,
and
it's
the
more polished, and it
impact.
came out like 7 years later.
I
so.
will say Infinite has Elizabeth, which is awesome.
she's great.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's hard for me to be excited about either of those games, given like I would want the heritage of like the people who worked on those
Yeah.
games to continue it.
Right.
And so if just some new company started working on a new BioShock, I'd be pretty skeptical at this point.
Right. And Ken Levine is off doing his narrative Legos mystery project.
knows?
Also, hey, Ken
Twilight
Levine,
Zone.
where the hell's that Twilight Zone thing that
What
you're
are you
supposed to be
doing,
working
man?
on years ago? Hey, Ken,
Do some work.
I got a message for you.
Hey, why don't you
Time's
take
up.
the Blue Point Challenge?
Click.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
Hey, Ken, let's hear more about your next game,
That'd be
please.
neat.
Yes.
Please.
I'm
Hurry up.
excited for that. I don't even
Stop
care.
killing our editors and work on some games.
Oh, that's right. That's a callback to Extra Life 2016. Look up the highlights, everybody. He killed Dan Tag. It's very fun. Adam from Connecticut
We all had a good time.
also says, when is memory card archaeology coming back? That was a dumb thing. Jeff Cork and I did 3 videos, I think. I'd love to do it at some point, but I wanted to make it a more focused.
You guys should do it
Thing.
as
Very
a
good.
daily show.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Lots of memory cards.
Yeah, lots of editing goes into that, so it's always tricky. Austin says, hey, Ben and crew, I went home the other week to Texas and used my free time to catch up on the amazing Witcher 3 DLC.
Heyo.
Good time, right? Nothing can go wrong here. So Austin says, while playing in my bed at night, wait a minute, this guy's name is Austin and he's from Texas? Wild.
Hold on.
He says, while playing in my bed at night. Wait a minute. Blue Point's in Texas.
This story sounds
Where the heck is this
fictional.
going?
I'll tell you where it's going. Hang on,
build up
stop.
here.
Does anyone have a guess as to where this email is going? Take a guess. Kyle, go
His
down the line.
parents walked in on him during the scene when genitals were stolen. That happened. in the
Okay.
Genitals are
No,
stolen?
during the unicorn
during
sex scene.
the unicorn sex scene. That's
Oh,
what
he
I
was
said.
playing the DLC, though, you said.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, DLC.
There's a
Okay,
moment
let
where
me
the
think.
horse is talking.
Okay. So you think the email's going to be about horses talking?
I
Cam,
think
do you have any idea what the
his
email's gonna be
own
about?
horse started talking to him.
He went home. Parents walked in, I think.
Parents walked in. Okay, here's where it's going. While playing in my bed at night, all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain in my thigh. I
Okay.
flew across the room to find a scorpion scurrying in my sheets. Apparently, it had fallen out of the fan light bowl above my head, where a pile of other unlucky scorpions hadn't yet escaped. Needless to say, I didn't play Witcher or sleep in my bed for the next few days due to the fountain of scorpions hanging above my mattress.
God.
So
Hold
fan
on.
light bowl is what I'm trying to wrap my mind. Like, so the glass thing surrounding the light bulb below a fan, for some reason in Austin's room, it's just like a punch bowl for scorpions.
Yes. Leo, if that had happened to you, would you have just like gotten your mouth underneath there and just, gobbled
eating
that
them
thing
all.
up?
Yeah.
Num num, eat them up.
Pour some milk over him and eat it like a cereal bowl.
That's horrifying.
That is.
That won't get emailed a
So
week.
he got bitten by a scorpion?
I guess so.
I'd be so mad at a scorpion if they
Yeah.
interrupted my Witcher 3 play
Scorpion.
session.
I'm trying to learn about Siri.
Get over
She's
here.
not in the DLC.
Yeah, you idiot.
I don't know. I didn't play that game.
know your
dumb
stuff,
kid.
man.
That's
Leo,
awful.
I don't think you've ever talked about it on air. Leo, how does a scorpion taste? You've eaten it for extra life.
Yummy.
That's not what you said the first time.
Yeah. Austin.
I want to follow up. I don't know how. Does the email continue or is that the end of the story?
He says, have you guys ever had any strange non-gaming experiences interrupt you while playing a game? Yeah, we've all had scorpions fall out of the fan light bowl.
Well, is he okay? Like, what happens when you get stung by scorpions?
Austin,
Are they
I
really
want to know more
venomous?
about this.
His email, the
he have to
period
get
at the end of the
amputated?
email just kind of trails off like Holy Grail, like along the wall. I don't think
I'm
Austin's
sitting
ever-
here writing
I just
this
want to know,
from my...
what do you do when you get a scorpion bite, right?
You have to have Daniel Stern suck it out, suck out the poison.
Is that a movie reference?
That is a City Slickers reference. Okay. Jorge Diaz, old JD, writes in, I can't wait to get to the end of this email.
Oh boy.
For
And
a
the
very-
scorpion started following.
Well, this-
And then it was
Top
wildly
is-
attacked by a scorpion army. Hola, Ben and crew. Hola. I listened to your episode with the Monster Hunter World Game Club. Thank you. There's another big section coming up in this episode. And there was this guy from Norway talking about how weird some video game words or titles may sound in others' languages. That's totally true. My most recent example happened with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, in which one of the main antagonists is named Malos, which in Spanish means literally bad guy. That so killed the seriousness of him for me, but still I enjoyed the game. This one is more interesting. Another weirder example, and a little more not safe for work. If you're listening with your kids, turn it down because this gets graphic. No, not really. This is weird. Comes from Star Ocean Till the End of Time, which has a character who is a small girl, and her name is Pepita Rossetti. That doesn't really mean something literal in Spanish, but many people understand it as slang for, quote, vaginal irritation.
What? Really?
Spanish slang, Pepita Rossetti?
Sounds like an Animal Crossing character.
How would that ever get started? Anyways, then he says, bye. And that's
Bye.
I was just excited to read that part.
It also sounds like an Italian...
and ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird deal.
I'll never look at Pepita the same again.
It could be an Italian pasta for... Oh,
Don't order it.
delicious Pepito Rossetti.
John from Hagerstown, Maryland says, hey, everybody, I had a few questions about what I feel is GI's most interesting attribute. Kimberly, the legendary
Aw.
Game Vault. Kim's number 2. Was the Game Vault, by the way, if you're not familiar, the Game Vault is where we have like an archive of almost every video game ever made.
A
started
near
with,
complete collection of
yeah.
video games.
We casually call it the Vault, which I imagine is confusing for a lot of people because
Yeah.
it's just a door and a room. But
locked, like a vault.
oh, it's locked. Don't even think about it, listeners. It's locked as all hell.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, they say, was the vault a happy accident that came about from receiving games or a conscientious goal to collect every game out there? It was very conscientious.
Yeah.
Conscientious.
Oh, we just accidentally ended up with every.
Don't be mean to
Oh,
John.
I'm sorry, John.
Jesus
Good
Christ.
question.
Come on. Come on, John.
It's very forward-thinking movement from Andy and then Reiner as well, just in terms of like, hey, this is weird that we're getting sent every game. We should not waste this opportunity. It's amazing. Leo, back when he was an intern, produced a video all about Game Informer's Vault, which, Leo, do you remember what that's called? What should people Google there?
There's a vault page on our website. You should be able to find it by moving around the top bar for a while, I think. Just say the vault, and
One
one
of
of the videos on that page.
Yeah, one of the drop downs on the top bar. But if you Google
And that's the
Game
only
Informer
thing
Vault
in there?
video. I don't know, Reeves. What do
that
you want
Leo
from me?
Vader made, he's very funny. Have you met him? Is what you should Google.
That's true. What was the first game you guys checked out of the vault?
Oh my
East
gosh.
Combat, something. I don't know. Whatever my first review was.
Mm.
Yes, I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't even remember.
I could actually
I'm killing
literally
myself.
look. Like we have a database where I can go see everyone's first checkout.
Oh,
Maybe that's something
really?
I can do.
Oh,
for a
you should
future
definitely
episode.
do that.
I
Yeah, that'd be
definitely
fun.
check stuff out. I just don't.
We'll do that maybe for a future episode. I'll look at everyone's first checkout.
When
Maybe
I
pass
first
that
started,
notes and stuff.
actually, we didn't have that. It was like a book in the vault
okay.
that you wrote.
Well, I'll make
stuff
up
on.
something embarrassing.
But yeah, so
Yeah, please do. I think mine was some PS1 games I never got around to, like Gex or maybe like it's like Sweet Spot was like games I played the demos of, but I never played the full game, and just having every PlayStation 1 game was kind of like a nostalgia sweet spot for me.
I think I remember what it was though. Like it was my first week, and I think Devil May Cry 4 was coming out, and so I checked out Devil May Cry 3, and then Miller would not stop talking about how awesome the
Two
what
is?
was the harmonics game Frequency.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, I should check that. I checked those both out for the weekend.
Knowing Miller and how incorrect he is on this one front, he probably would have argued for Amplitude, which
He
is,
might have said it.
which is incorrect because
Yeah.
Frequency is a much better game. Did you enjoy Amplitude back in the day?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, I liked it.
And they also, great question, asked, are most games in the vault sealed or opened? Opened, but it is fun every once in a while when you find that sealed copy of a very notorious
And
game.
it always pains you to
Yeah.
bust it open just to do a replay. Like
Those
we
are
had
scorpions,
that,
actually.
Sweet
The Vault
Coden
Scorpions.
2, that hurt to open.
Oh, we had a
Oh.
sealed copy of Suikoden and 2.
Yeah.
That was like
Holy cow!
that's like one of the for I don't think probably is anymore, but for a while
yeah,
that was like
at the time,
game,
yeah.
Oh my God, that's wild. All right, Reeves, here you go. Hunter Clement, friend of the show, writes in and says, what's the best gaming snack? Rank 'em, jerk.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Jerk is one.
Yep, jerky. Okay, here we go. Gaming snack, rank 'em. So you have to remember all these, Reeves. Doritos, cheesy nachos, pizza, Cheetos, Lay's, fruit, celery sticks and dip, a nice chicken dinner, Dan's Broken Dreams, fries.
Dan's Broken Dreams.
Well, so the way I envision is we would argue over this and decide the list together, not individually rank them.
I understand.
Although
that.
pizza should be number one.
As a snack, pizza's a meal.
He gave us a list of food items. You can treat anything as a
Flamin'
snack.
hot Cheetos, it has to be.
Was that wasn't on the
That's
list?
not on the
though.
list.
Cheetos
Okay,
are.
listen.
I'm
Alright.
just
You're
very.
just
Here's the
variation.
thing. Everything, Doritos, cheesy nachos,
Can you read it?
Doritos, cheesy nachos.
Eh.
You interrupted me from reading the list
Can you
again.
please read the list?
Okay. Doritos, cheesy nachos, pizza, Cheetos, Lay's, fruit, celery sticks and dip, nice chicken dinner, Dan's Broken Dreams, fries. Here's unexpected. I would go fruit number one just because everything else pollutes your fingers, especially Dan's Broken
I would
Dreams.
argue that fruit does.
Depends
too,
on what the
though.
fruit is. Like
Yeah.
a strawberry, that'll turn everything red.
See, I would go like
if you're a light touch.
I would go like Lay's, like regular Lay's. I feel like are the least offensive chip on that
Yeah.
list. And then depends on the fruit. Bananas are good. Apples are good.
Yeah, banana's not going to do nothing.
Pineapple.
Yeah, but would you rather eat an apple or a banana or a piece of pizza?
Would I have to worry about greasing up a controller?
Use a napkin.
What?
Well,
What's
that's
that?
implied for all these, but like we
Yeah,
want to
that's
eliminate steps.
Okay,
between
what's
eating
last?
and gaming.
Celery sticks?
Celery sticks.
Personally,
The only-
mine are Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its are pretty good because they
That
don't
is
really
good,
get on your
yeah.
fingers.
That's what I use. That is actually what my gaming
Hang on.
snack
Reeves
is.
is getting into a car and he's going to swerve in oncoming traffic like that guy. Because that is not on this list. No. Okay, yeah. Celery sticks is down below and number one is pizza. That's the rough framework we're working with here.
The nice
Seems
thing about
like it, right?
Dan's Dreams, though, is that like they won't get on your fingers at all. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
mostly you can just kind of inhale them.
I would like
You
to
know?
not be anywhere near them.
Unfortunately,
hold
they're
up your
Dan's
left hand
broken
and just-
dreams, and those don't exist.
And we're talking about tack?
Fail.
Does anyone just
Yes.
have an image of Dan Tack with Boulevard of Broken Dreams walking around?
In the music video?
Just no emotion on his
Yeah,
face, just
like-
walking.
Right. Is that album good?
is that American Idiot?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
like thinking it was okay
It
in
got
high school.
overplayed, so everyone's tired of it now. But if you go back to it, I bet every song on there.
And I did I played like Green Day Rock Band for the
Yeah.
first time
Oh,
like
yeah.
2 years ago,
I
maybe.
forgot that existed.
Yeah, and it was a real blast of like, oh wait, do I really like American Idiot? I don't think I'd factored in how much I enjoyed some of these songs.
I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, so that's number one.
Yeah, that's number one. Should we at least get top 3? I think we can do that.
Lay's.
Okay, pizza.
I would do Doritos before Lay's.
Yeah, but
I would too. Fries is underrated here.
Fries
as well.
is really
Fries,
good.
I said.
You're not gonna be
Actually,
super greasy.
fries.
Should we do fries?
Pizza, fries,
And Doritos?
fruit. Give it to fruit.
Okay, fruit.
There we go. Thanks, Hunter. Alex from Brooklyn, New York. Alex Carter writes in and says, "Dear Isaac, Taylor, and Zach." Does anybody understand what he's talking about? He's just being funny. Hey.
Oh, that's the Hanson brothers.
Oh! I didn't expect an actual payoff for that confusion. That's amazing.
The fact that I knew that.
Wow. Wow.
And all their other songs.
Good
of course.
songs. Good songs. Well, I very much appreciate how pro-consumer GI is in general. There's a drawback when the majority of staff decides something is a ripoff and decides to ignore it. A reader already mentioned this with regards to VR. Rich people need news too. For me, it's a bummer when an editor who seems to know everything about a game that's been released is asked how it runs on a PS4 Pro and they don't know. It matters for some games, especially when it comes to frame rate. Small quibble. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. P.S. Billy Mitchell's Game Informer hot sauce was serviceable, but boring and too mild. He must have won that during Extra.
Oh,
Life, I imagine.
interesting.
That's cool. Thanks
Yeah.
for donating, man.
I was also not a fan of his hot sauce.
Yeah, or his high scores. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? The PS4 Pro, should we make a bigger point on the podcast about calling out, like, here's if we tried it on Xbox One X or PS4 Pro, how it runs differently?
I mean, if it is a factor, I think it's worth talking about. Like Shadow of the Colossus, like it makes a difference to play Shadow of the Colossus.
Honestly, it's the most convinced I've ever been to buy a PS4 Pro. Seeing Shadow of the Colossus,
and that's in the review. Like that is bullet point in the review. But for a lot of other games, if it's just, and this could just maybe me personally, but if it's just an upgrade to 4K resolution, even looking at it on a 4K TV, it doesn't really change the experience that much to me. You know.
Yeah.
But I think frame rate will change it. But so when it makes a difference, I think we make an effort to call it out, and we could do that more. Like he obviously says we should do it more.
I think we'll do it more as more of those games come out, and really raise the bar in terms of graphics using the hardware. Like I just don't think it's still kind of early on with that stuff.
That the gap between PS4 Pro and PS4 and Xbox One X, that's only going to get wider. And wider
exactly.
So
yeah, Leo, resident video booth guy, he recently bought a PS4 Pro, which I was amazed by. I've never really been too compelled to get one, and Leo just swung big and went for it. Leo, why'd you do that?
The disk drive on my old PS4 was broke, and I wanted to get a new one, and I didn't want to get a new old one.
See, that was a smart decision. I support it.
I mean, if you're going to get a PS4,
Yeah,
you might as well get
Pro.
You think so at this point?
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn looks real good on it.
Did you have a game stuck in there? Your old one?
No.
Oh, that's disappointing.
That would have been funnier.
That's the one complaint I hear people say with their PS4s is that the
Too many
disk
games stuck
drive
in there?
eventually, that it goes. The
Mine
disk
got
drive
thrown
goes.
on a kitchen floor
by a cat.
By a cat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Really?
you did it. I was like, game rage.
I actually had a PS3 once where a game got stuck in there, and I could still put new games in there.
Wait
No.
a second.
Yeah.
Wait, there's no way that would work.
Is this
I
a magic
did-
trick?
It wasn't playing though. Like I was like, what the heck's going on?
They're
And
just
like
shoving
eventually,
games in there?
yeah, I don't remember what game it was, like Grand Theft Auto 4 or something. And I was like, why isn't this playing? It won't register the game. And then eventually, I pulled out the disc that I was trying to stick in there, and the other old disc eventually shot out. I was like,
And it
what?
was Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's right.
You've been hiding it all this
It
time.
was the game made just for me.
All right.
Actually, yeah, that is the game made just for me.
Yeah.
I didn't call it
RPGs.
out.
Isn't that
Final
beautiful?
Fantasy.
What do you guys like for email of the week?
I like the game you can have right now.
I do
think
too.
Matt wrote
That's
it.
a good one.
That
Oh
is a
yeah,
good
good
one.
memory. Yep, I like the games that felt like they were just for us. BioShock.
Do
I
you
like the
feel
scorpion story.
bad about the guy with the scorpion? Yeah, that wasn't probably
Yeah.
fun.
We didn't really talk about his question that much.
Well,
I mean, when you wite in an email like that,
Yeah,
your question's going to get
you bury the
shuffled under
lead.
rug.
Yeah.
okay, so we
sorry.
listed a lot of things we do like. I like Pepita Rossetti. what else? Is there one that stands out? I might be leaning towards
List of food.
List of food.
Yeah.
Reeves likes. I'm leaning more towards games you could have right now.
Yes,
I like that one.
That
like
one
that too.
or the games, yeah.
Is
Games
most
right
helpful.
now.
Do it.
All right,
Done.
Matt Thomas,
Boom.
official friend of the show. We will send you out something really nice. Congratulations. Thanks, everybody that wrote in. Really appreciate it. Podcast@GameInformer.com. For now, stay tuned. We're going to go a whole new batch of folks in here to dive in deep on Monster Hunter World last game club discussion for the game. In theory, loosely framed around the high rank fights, but it's all over the map. It's just talking about that big old weirdo fun game that's Monster Hunter World. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, my daughter is cute.
And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still here. We have a smaller, slimmer, meaner, more passionate game club crew in the house. We have Dantak.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
We have Lele Tobin.
Hello.
And we have Kimberly Wallace joining Game Club for the first time ever?
Yeah.
Have you ever been on one ever?
No.
This is wild. All right, so what we do, Kim,
And this was not planned, by the way.
That's right. You're a last-minute substitute because everybody that was here last week, they all fell off. They're all losers, but I'm especially pointing a finger at Joe Juba because the notorious Game Club bailer, that dude, Dan, what are we going to do with him?
Game club commitment. You know, if I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound.
That's right. Dan and I aren't scared of commitment, unlike all those other weirdos that bailed. Yuck. So what this is, Kim, is we're going to talk about all of Monster Hunter World. The kind of rough framework was like, oh, let's focus on the high rank fights. As I played more and more and realized that, oh, that's further away than I realized. I got to it and I've done some of them, but
here.
It's a little bit loose. You know, we can just talk about our experience in the deeper game of Monster Hunter World. But a lot of people wrote in. We got a lot of great emails. Thank you to everybody that, you know, people went out and bought the game, spent $60 on this game, started playing along with us and sending emails. Like, it's unbelievably amazing.
Really I hope a lot of them liked it.
I will never bail on a game club if I do one again.
Is that true?
It's true.
100%?
It's a dangerous thing to say, Kim.
People are buying games to play with us.
Kim, you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you just made a hell of a commitment.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, my God. So how far are you, Kim? How much have you been playing? Let's get you caught up here.
I'm about 40 hours in when I looked at my timer last. So I've gotten through all the first like main part of the story and gone into high rank. So I've done a few of the high rank stuff, but I just got to high rank like the other day. So
gotcha.
I've been messing around a lot, just doing hunts and investigations and whatever I feel in the mood for. So I wasn't like getting through that story as fast as like, but you need to too, because you got to upgrade that gear.
I guess.
Stand a chance.
It's interesting you talk about like how it kind of ends that part of the story. Just the framework is still a little bit confusing to me because I'm also like 40 hours in. I'm at like near Hiragante in the story, but
so story does not end until high rank is over, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was that? Like it certainly
part.
It felt like it was a soft wrap up of like, Zoro Magdaros is sinking back into the ocean. Let's all hug and celebrate. And it seems like it could have been.
But then you saw
that
a guy standing there.
There is a weirdo guy.
There was a weirdo guy.
Yeah.
Who brings you to the weirdo place.
It's like I've been saying, like I sort of divide the game into 3 pieces, like low rank, high rank, Elder Dragon Plus. That's sort of how they divide it in terms of, I think in terms of difficulty. Mm-hmm. But the story doesn't end until you've completed a good quantity of Elder Dragons. So,
So the Elder Dragon stuff, I mean, is that going to appear differently on the world map? Because I was amazed that it was as distinct when you choose a location on the map that it says like low rank and then switch over to high rank.
Sure.
Is Elder Dragon
No, Elder Dragons
else?
are just the end of high rank, more or less.
Okay. Lele, how's your progress going?
I think I'm about 25 hours in, but I haven't been trying to like blast through the story. I more just play.
You're playing the game?
She likes to help people.
Whoa.
I like to
Yuck.
just, play with my friends.
I don't understand this at all. What's interesting is like you have spent so much time with previous Monster Hunter games and you just do not give a crap about finishing the story. Is it the same this
story
time around?
It's not that kind of thing.
But
they're trying harder this time.
Exactly. That's still not
But,
enough for you to care.
I'm not really like invested in it because it looks nicer how they've executed it. Looks nicer and is more engaging, but it's not like it's still not like a compelling story really. It's the same type of thing as the other games.
Yeah.
It just looks
But you need
nicer.
it to raise that hunter rank, girl.
It's important to note that, like, despite
You
Capcom
can't get
saying
to the cool stuff till you get that hunter rank.
I guess.
it's very true, actually.
Yeah.
The game opens up a lot in the later half.
Well, I mean, I'll clear it eventually, but I'm not like so engaged in like doing that next quest to see
You're
the
gonna
next.
want
There's no rush.
You're gonna want new monsters to battle. You're gonna have to just suck it up and do it eventually.
totally
That's what
get
I
it.
did. That's how I was. I was the same way, and I'm like, I really just got to finish this so I can get to the cooler monsters and gear, and that's what
Yeah.
you got to do.
It is amazing how much it opens up quickly into high rank and just starts
Oh my
just
gosh.
throwing monsters at you, like on your little walking tour of
Yeah.
the Everstream, where it's like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? They just
Or
keep coming.
you open up your armor and you're like, oh my god, now I have all this I can get, which
Yeah.
is just like, I don't even know what I want to invest in.
High
yet.
rank is when you can start actually getting skills, and I like the sort of the streamlining they did of that in this game, where you just have like, you know, rank 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to like get points to 10 in order to trigger one to happen.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff, but it's way easier to understand than other games. It's just like, I have a gem of attack. It gives me attack. Okay, I understand that. I don't have to bring my attack to 10 in order to get a bonus from several different pieces of gear. That's how it used to be.
Yeah. Well, Lay, you're not alone thinking that the story sucks. Mason Cowell says, this is my first time playing a Monster Hunter game, so I'm going to run through a few quick things that stood out to me. The combat and progression loop are a ton of fun. Variety of weapons is truly remarkable. Truly, Mason. But Mason says, the story ranges from being passively bad to aggressively awful. Both the dialogue and the mission formats for the story itself.
You know what disappointed me? Because I did that final mission yesterday.
Final mission.
The one before you go into high rank.
Okay.
What's his face that you face?
Zora Magdaros.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that whole mission was like the same type of format of the one we did like 3 missions ago.
Where it's just like, hey, load the cannon, fire it at this
Yeah,
idiot.
I was really disappointed. I'm like, because I was like, that's the big like, hey, we got him. He's off to sea. And I I was like, well, that could have been more exciting.
It's in a different environment, though, and you spend enough time on his back, I guess.
The same stuff. I don't know. You have that one new thing that you can drive into him in the ship.
Yeah,
I don't
the
even.
Dragon Smasher or whatever.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever,
I
the
didn't
Dragon
get every word
The
wrong.
Dragonator.
The Dragonator. Yeah.
What
Yes, there you
is
go.
that? Because I think the commander was yelling at me like, no, it's time for the dragon. I don't think I used
I can't.
it.
It's
You
like a
pretty
big
much can't beat the
spear.
fight unless you use
Yeah,
it.
you
so.
need to. There's a button at the top of the ship that you just hit.
It does
a
like
switch,
2,400
rather.
damage, man.
Yeah.
I don't think
it's
I did
It like
this.
comes out of the wall and like
How did
impales
you
it.
beat him then?
I don't think it's actually possible to without doing it.
Do you have to beat him? I don't
It's
remember
probably
if I killed
possible.
It's probably possible,
But I
but you have
don't-
to be mad on those
You have
cannons.
to really be OP. Like, I don't know. I mean, the Elder Dragons, and then, like I think I've found this in the last few entries, including the most recent like 3DS ones. Like, they're not as fun as they were before. Like,
Well, you've only done Zora Magdaros, right?
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is more, but like that was like their big opening showpiece one to try
Yeah.
to hook players, and like, was it 3 Ultimate or 4 Ultimate that had the like fish one that would like jump over your ship? Was one of the first ones.
Yes, that was
They're
4
boring.
Ultimate, I think.
don't know. I mean,
But with Zora, like the rest of the Elder Dragon fights are all very traditional battles, as opposed to the weird like we're on a ship shooting cannons and stuff kind of.
well,
thing.
I mean, those are like okay, so like the original games. And see, I haven't done all of them in this new one, but
Yeah.
like the 3 that I remember from like the old games are Lao Shan Lung, which is sort of similar to Zora Magdaros. He just like crawls along down this big tunnel trying to like run away from something
Sounds
that we
pretty
don't know what
cool.
it is. And like
Wait,
every,
the giant monster's running away from something you
Yeah,
don't see?
yeah.
That's terrifying.
and like
Running away from life, man.
or migrating. I don't remember. So like so but that one, like, you know, you have people doing like heavy bowguns trying to break off his like big shoulder spikes, and you have people who are using lance like following him along under his belly trying to get his like smushy bits, and like there's like 2 places where you can jump down onto him to mine some points. And it was like a lot more about like getting that loot that you can only get from him, and it's just like an hour long, and then you either win or you don't, and it doesn't really matter. But like there was that one which is sort of boring. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like most of the Elder Dragons in the
Well,
recent
you
ones have
haven't
been
seen
like.
anything. Like, Dan,
yeah, they're
Yeah.
way different.
And then there was, I want to say Shengao Ren, who was like a really tall like crab, like a really tall hermit crab. And
it's
you
like
have
a
to,
crab with like stilt
shoot,
legs?
You have to like shoot his like knees in the different places to get him to like fall closer and closer down.
So are the Elder Dragons as cool as the old games, Dan?
And then-
I like them. I like this. I like this approach to them where they're actual encounters instead of being theme parky experiences.
So I'm excited to get to those. I haven't gotten that
Yeah.
far yet. But yeah. And then like Vitalis was like the only one that was like felt like scary and fast.
It's interesting. In the last game club, you talked about the ancient forest and kind of what a tangled web it weaves and how you got lost in there and stuff. It's stupid that I think the most confusing environment I went to multiple times was just the back of Zora Magdaros. There were several times
Trying
I'm
to
just
get to his
running around.
head.
I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. They
It's 'cause
keep
he- it's
yelling
'cause
at
he
me to
moves
attack some
around.
crap. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm sliding over the place. I just like drop down this sheer wall and then I'm like, is this where I'm supposed to be. I don't know what the
I
hell is
haven't-
happening.
That fight sucks.
I haven't
Like,
figured it out.
I
either.
called it out in my review specifically.
Well, yeah, and then they make you do like the same one twice. It just
Just don't do it more than once. Forget that Zora Magdaros gear. You can do better.
It's stupid to go up and
No,
use
but
a
I mean,
sword on
like,
a...
you do that just so that, like, all I do is just, like, run around trying to get as much Dragonite ore as I can
Yeah.
before the timer runs out, and if I fail, I don't care.
I did that
So,
mission
like-
once, and it's like, you get the chance to do it again. I'm like,
nope.
hell no. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah. Sam K, just on the mopping up the story front real quick. Sam K from Pittsburgh says, "Hey, Cruz, I've been playing Monster World nonstop for the past 2 weeks straight, and I'm loving it. As the game hit high rank and gets harder, I'm enjoying it even more, but I've had one growing pet peeve for this game the whole time, and that is the entire research commission, except the Palicos," he says. "I feel as the story goes on, they become more and more useless and naggy and make you do literally everything. After you defeat Nergigante, possibly by yourself, I might add, they assign others of the commission to investigate the other areas, but then just have you do it? This on top of their generally obnoxious dialogue has me just playing the game with no volume a lot of the time. Does anyone else agree that these people are annoying fools?" And other people were complaining of like, why doesn't anybody have a name?
I mean, I think the handler is more annoying than anybody else in the game.
Yeah, then just the
She
weirdo
drives me
commission
nuts.
table.
But I don't know. For me, I feel like they're just doing what that game likes to do, give you stuff to do over and over and over again, and then some.
They really want to kill that Zora Magdaros. It's like their white whale. They're so obsessed with it in the story. It's bizarre.
The fact, like, again, I stated this before, like the story, I know they want, obviously the marketing messages, they want to say that it has a story now because huge, much big, wider audience than like, you know, the 3DS potentially. So like, we've got a story now. It's like, no, you don't. You really don't, and it's not good. So just don't play the game for story. I've said that a billion times.
Yeah, you should have.
But you need to.
They should
No,
just
like, it's like
Hunker up.
Pokemon. I mean,
Right.
I played like one Pokemon game in my life, and I didn't finish the story, and I
Then
imagine
you're
that they're
missing
all
out,
the
though.
same.
How dare
be fair, I
you?
think
But it's
Monster
a completely
Hunter
different
story-
team.
Do you
But
know who
playing
you're talking
Pokemon
to
is
right
like
now?
about capturing Pokemon.
Yes.
It's not about the story, and it's the
Yes.
same type of thing.
And
For
it's even
sure.
worse in Pokemon because it's such a, they force it down your throat a lot more. You have to interact with the story a lot more. In
You have to
Pokemon.
interact with giant homeless men that
God.
wander the earth.
You do.
It's insane.
It's so bad.
And that's the bummer too. Just a brief
Is that
tangent.
in Pokemon?
It's in Pokemon X and Y. There's a giant hobo who wanders the earth that's like been around for 6,000 years or something.
That's the only one I played it. I don't remember that.
Exactly. No one remembers it. It's the most forgettable,
How can you
insane
forget, like,
stuff.
such great dialogue in Pokemon, like, hey, check out my pants.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I tell people in Monster Hunter. Hey, check out my pants.
It is like the core idea of Monster Hunter is, hey, check out my pants.
Truth.
Tim
That is true.
writes in from California, says, "Hey, Monster Hunter World Game Club crew. Just want to say it's been a real joy listening to the Game Club. It's been a surreal and cathartic experience hearing you all talk so enthusiastically and knowledgeably about Monster Hunter. Flashback to 2015, I recall trying my damnedest to illustrate how awesome Monster Hunter 4U Ultimate was to the GI staff, and no one
Is this Tim
listened."
Turry?
This is Tim Turry.
Totally Tim
that's
Turry.
definitely not
I
correct.
could have called it.
Tim Turry, Capcom Shill. He says, "Why didn't Dan Tack listen to my
I reviewed that
frequent
game.
obsessions in trying to convince him that Monster Hunter..." I know he didn't actually write that part, Dan, but I remember him getting into it, and it still sounded like a complete pain in the ass. And it just seems laughable to think back on every iteration of Monster Hunter. Dan, tell me if I'm wrong. Where it's just the message coming from a lot of people was like, this one is the most accessible ever. This one isn't bad to get into.
But I mean, it was always true that they did get more accessible, but there's a whole different line of like, you're talking about steps on a stairway and then
Yes.
just like an elevator of accessibility, right?
With Monster
it's
Hunter
like
World.
forget the baby steps. We'll go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And those steps, you're still far below the Earth's crust when saying that it's slightly more accessible. But Monster Hunter World
way
is the
more
elevator.
accessible. And I
Yes.
think some of that is just in the control scheme, man.
Yeah, it is the controls for me. That was the one thing with the handheld versions that I struggled with and I just could not grasp. And this, it just feels so much better. And that has really made all the difference for me. Like the loop, I'm like, oh, I should have gotten to this. I was like, no, I didn't like those controls. So this was the time for me to really get invested in the series.
Yeah, and last week we talked about the radial menu and like customizing it and whatnot, and how like the flick I was having a lot of trouble with. A couple people wrote in saying, this is Caleb from Dayton, Ohio, says, "Hey, I was listening to the Game Club and had a response for the quote suck ass controls. There are a few settings you might want to try. All these you can find under options. You can turn off aim assist. This allows you to have full control of where you strike with a weapon. I found myself missing a lot when this function is on because the game pulls my character towards what body part it thinks I'm trying to hit, causing some whiffs. Number 2, Radial dial, try option number 2. It'll allow you to select an item and then confirm your choice with R3. It's buried in the menus, but this is a complete game changer. It makes it so much better than trying to do the awkward flip. Have you done this yet? Okay, go for option 2. Number 3, says Caleb, manual sheath. It just feels better. I don't
Makes
know
sense.
about that, Caleb. Dylan from Providence also was saying that absolutely go for R3 on the radial menu because it's the way to go. P.S. Dylan from Providence says, I'm developing a big crush on Leo Vader.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. There we
Congratulations,
go.
Leo.
That's the email of the week right there.
Leo is our little darling, so
Our little boy.
our little darling.
But Tim also wrote in, he wanted to point out, and I think that maybe this is a direct message for me because I'm playing a lot with him, and he brings it up on a nightly basis. He says, P.S. A tiny etiquette for new players. Please make room for some hammer brothers to attack the heads of fallen monsters. Those big, meaty bits of the hammer come with a good chance of KOing the beast and leading to a bonus round of stun. There may not be friendly damage, but flailing weapons will interrupt your party's animations. Blades are really useful during the first half of the fights for slicing off that tail, so start there. He's constantly
Are
screaming,
you
Leap, get out of the
flailing?
head! Get out of there! That's a hammer
Tim and I need to
space."
get back together because I just stay near that ass. And Tim's got the head
Girl.
and
Feedback from last week's or 2 weeks ago, that episode, Dylan Tega writes in and says, I really want Jeff Cork to know that I also named my Palico after my real life cat named Echo. There's no shame in loving your cat.
Yeah, mine's
That's an
named
important
after
thing
my
to note,
cat
yes.
too. I did that too.
Takes all kinds. Here's the real feedback there from Tim Tomlinson. He says, hey, you mentioned you had trouble with knockbacks during aerials with the insect glaive. That was me. He says the Kadachi armor chest piece has a skill called Jump Master, which negates knockback during jumps.
Perfect.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to have to go for that. He said, last time Dan Tack said there were no turtles in the game. I would submit that Zora Magdaros is one giant turtle.
I have heard this theory, but I don't believe it.
In one of the cutscenes, he's shown retreating into his shell, and his head and feet share characteristics of a turtle. He's basically Gamera, except he's not friend to all children, and he doesn't fly.
He's turtle-like.
That we know of.
We'll give him that, but he's not a turtle.
So there's one turtle-esque character, and it's the biggest one in the game, I think, right? Zora's the biggest?
That I've seen, yeah.
You think there's other monsters you haven't seen?
A bigger one will probably be coming later. Like they've done a great job on events and putting stuff into the game. So
Really?
I would be very surprised if Zora ends up being the biggest of the biggest.
That seems shocking. Tim also writes in and says, is anyone else annoyed with the scout flies yanking your camera control away? It's fine out in the field once. It shows you which way to go to find the monster. But if you need to go back to camp mid-fight to restock items, it drops you off looking directly at the tent, then wrenches the camera into a 180 to the exit to show you that the monster isn't in your camp. Gee, thanks. It gets me every time. Does anyone else hate this, or am I just a weirdo?
I think sometimes my fireflies are drunk, to be honest with you.
They're swirling in a circle?
Yeah, well, I've done like the R3 to, latch onto the monster, so
Yeah.
it just takes me there. But like sometimes the routes that they give me and where they go, it's just, I'm like, you guys are drunk.
There's
right
like
now.
a couple spots that I find in particular every single time. I just like end up just in like a little spiral, like they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually when like something's up by the dam in the ancient forest, where it's like kind of like above where one of the camps is.
Right, I
That's
found
the
it.
one that it always gets lost.
It's very silly when it's like, I think it's in the ancient forest. There's like kind of this watery area, and then there's vines you can swing along. And the scout flies really want you to go on those vines. But it's like, look, the water is like knee deep. Like I can just run through that and that's
But
fine.
when you swing, it's really fast. if you
That's
can-
true. I've had such a
grab it.
tough time just trying to grab onto some vines. I make these jumps over and over again, especially in the Coral Highlands. I don't know. Are you guys
The
having a
cor-
hard time with
I've-
that?
It's automatic.
But I don't know. I just can't
Just-
make that distance.
Flow
I think
yourself
you have
at
to be
it.
sprinting for
Yeah.
some of them.
Is
Yeah,
that
you
it?
do.
There
You
are
do.
some that are tricky.
You have to be running.
I've fallen before, I'll admit it.
Okay, good. But it sucks too because I'm so aerial with the insect glaive, and so it's like, well, this is impossible to miss, and I'll do my
Just get
combo air launcher over there, and then you won't grab onto it if you're doing the insect glaive.
You got to get
combo.
the glider cape, man.
Where's that?
I
just
don't
get it.
recall exactly where you get it,
Just-
but man, it's crazy for like lifting yourself. You can just go nuts.
Do I have to craft it? Or
No, it's
I
one of
just
it's
got it.
tool
It's probably
acquisition.
in your equipment
Yeah,
somewhere.
in your box.
You'll
your
have a
treasure
side
chest.
quest.
oh,
Almost
side
all of them
quest.
come from optional quests. Almost all of them.
Okay.
I do a lot of the optional stuff.
I haven't done much of that at all.
Well, that's where it is.
Dan, can I?
It's probably in that item box you didn't know you had.
Dan Tech has an answer
That's
for
true.
everything, so that you need. in
I
this
know.
game.
Well,
You
we have
should
a lot
just
of
have him by
questions.
your
That's
side.
good.
It helps out a lot. Dan, I was at the 36-hour mark
Okay.
when I was playing with somebody. I think Buddy Dave Clapp, when he made some mention of the bounties. And
Sure.
I said, what is this? He's like,
The
the
bounty-
bounties.
the
He's like,
bounty
how are you
tool.
36 hours into this game and you haven't taken a single
my
bounty?
Gosh.
Have I just been hurting myself
are
throughout
you
the entire
doing?
experience? I don't know. There's a thousand
serious?
things
Oh my
in
God,
that game.
that's
I
like
went-
the easiest part to
I went
grasp.
over all this stuff with you guys. There's a guide on the website. Come on.
Yeah, I
man.
know I was in that video, but I'm not taking notes and
Oh.
remembering
Like, but how do you even
exactly-
miss that?
But
They
yeah,
throw
that's
that in your face.
Yeah.
They throw 1,000 things in your face. You can't
It's like
possibly remember all that
after
crap.
every quest when it like drops you back at the like main gate of town.
Yeah.
And there's like an item box, and then you like turn a little bit, and there's like 3
right
people
there.
standing
Well, there's
there.
a town of people. I don't go
That's
double
how
check
you
with every
get
single
like some
one.
of the best like upgrades for your armor.
It does.
Apparently.
Like,
It's
I
at
know
the
that
end of the day,
now.
it's all extra supplies.
Just like free.
yeah,
it's
free ways
stuff.
to enhance your armor. Level up, baby.
You'll get them.
Yeah, they're like, you know, do a quest in the ancient forest, gather 5 honeys, and then like they just like give you stuff.
It's not a
for
big deal that
stuff
you haven't
you're
been doing them.
anyway.
Like, not in the long run, you're going to have a box full of armor pluses
It
at the end.
doesn't-
Yeah,
But yeah,
It probably would
doesn't
help more
hurt.
in the early parts than
probably.
later,
I could have
but-
stolen more stuff because it really, my only hope of getting through this game has been just, hey, let's group up. I'll sit back.
That's fine.
I'll sharpen my weapon for 40 minutes, and then that monster will
There's
be
no
dead.
shame in that, man.
Really? I
Get
think
in
there's a
there.
little bit. I think there's a little.
Very
bit there.
little.
Okay, thank you.
You could probably learn a lot, honestly, if you just like are watching. Like, even if you're like not super engaged the whole time if you're
Just-
playing with
it's
people, but just like
watching
watch
Tim
the
use the
patterns.
hammer.
It's
Yeah,
better
just
to
watch the
watch
patterns.
and not be the guy that causes, like, the
sure.
mission to fail after 20 minutes.
Right. Ben Schneider writes in and says, please stop all of this co-op confusion. No one I have read mentions the easiest and most obvious way to play co-op, because last time we were complaining about playing with friends.
Not everyone was, but yeah.
All right, Dan Tag.
What's
So Ben says, you hit start. You go right once to communication in the
Yes.
menu. You go down to invite friend. Invite your friends. This puts you in the same session. Then anyone can post a quest. Everyone will see it's posted and can join it. If the quest poster has to see a cutscene, the join option will turn white when you can join. You don't have to keep guessing. To avoid full sessions problems, just always create your own session. No one mentions the invite friend option when they want to invite their friends. I don't use squads or session IDs or SOS flares or any of that nonsense. All I do is co-op with friends. Stop the misinformed madness. All right, Ben, I hear you. This is solid advice. We appreciate it. The
Thank
step-by-step
you.
walkthrough. I still think it is a core problem with the game when gamers of all stripes all come to the same conclusion of, why is this so complicated? This is a mess. Like, I don't care if it's technically possible. It is still a clunky-ass system that confuses 90% of the people that
Yeah.
play this game.
It shouldn't have been confusing. I think a lot of the problem too is just like my friends. Like if I like
Very
invite
dumb.
people, like they don't come. So like
What do you mean?
just
Aw,
like
that's
if
kinda
I've
sad.
invited
Ah!
people, they just like don't join my session. And so I'm like, did this work? I don't know. But really the problem is my friends are jerks.
Right.
I
Colossal.
need to get you some new friends.
We'll get
I'll
you some
play
new
with
friends.
Yeah.
We can buy you friends, Alay. Barbara Joe, champion of Game Club, writes in and says, hey, everyone. What's one quality of life improvement you would have made to the game?
Ooh.
Personally, I really want a way to sort investigations. I hate having to scroll through several pages of low-level nothing quests to find the more challenging ones. I would remove like 85% of the systems in complexity, but that's my little
Great.
quality of
So
life.
then you don't want to play Monster Hunter.
I think that's the conclusion.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, that's
It's not a
That
problem
was
that the depth
embarrassing.
like exists for you to explore. You don't have to do it all, but don't
I
take
think by
it
the time
away.
you get to high rank, I
You
think
don't.
you really
you really don't. They've made it so you can just, if you want to play it in the most simple form imaginable and never worry about anything, you don't have to.
I think it'll be very tough if you don't engage with
Sure.
a lot of those systems.
I think a lot of games are hard if you don't know how they work.
All right, well then you can't play it with just ignoring all
But you
that
can.
stuff.
You can.
You can beat your head against a wall if you want to.
It's very doable.
It's very doable. What would you guys change? Quality of life stuff.
I mean, I agree with the bounties. I agree with the investigations thing. Like, I often find myself hitting the 250 cap.
Oh, I
and
know.
It's annoying.
Yes,
Sorry, I
Kim?
just thought of it. When a friend joins a game, I wish they wouldn't go straight to the camp, but straight to where you're fighting the monster.
Okay.
Like straight
Although-
to like teleport straight to you.
Yeah.
But then like if they haven't eaten, they would not be able to get those buffs and they might like die
Or
right
have their weapon,
away.
or
Yeah,
their
You
or change
always
stuff.
eat before you leave.
You do, but what if you
People
did?
don't always.
Yeah.
And like if you're in the loop where you never go back to the headquarters, then like
Well, it's just stressful because I invite a friend and it takes forever for them to load in, and then they get in and then they're all the way back there and I'm here fighting this monster by myself, and it's a pain in the ass. So I just wish they put it a little closer.
well, yeah, I mean, it's easier too if you And this is partly why I'm so frustrated about the cutscene thing. Is
Yeah.
like we usually would just group up, like, hey, we're gonna play Monster Hunter for 6 hours tonight, and like you just play with those 3 other people for a long time.
And you can't. You constantly have to go in
But
and
like,
out now.
yeah, now you have to like go in and out, and like it's annoying. I don't know. And
Yeah,
like
well-
the cutscene thing, so you'd like have to like we all have to like take turns in the story, like to like post the quest
so
alone,
silly.
and then like get to that to trigger it, and then like leave, and then post it again and join each other, and it's like I don't think that was a good choice. I
Should
hope
be able
maybe
to
they
pick to
change
skip
that.
the cutscene or just all watch it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
I
agree
can-
immensely. Like the fact that there is no story in this game, and the cutscenes, or the notion that the story is somehow preventing people from grouping together. It's terrible. Shouldn't be there. And like, while I'm very thankful that late game there are no cutscenes, so that goes away. But like, it's awful. It's awful for playing with your friends. That cutscene stuff has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, I've heard some people complain about, like, I want to be able to see my friends run around Astera with me.
You can go up to the.
You go to the Gathering Hub, but like for the full city. But it's like, well, if you did that, then you couldn't skip the little cutscenes, like the cooking cutscene if you're a maniac, because I don't know who would skip that every time.
Why-
or stuff like,
Why couldn't you skip it?
it would throw off the time, right?
Well,
Everybody has
you're
to
just
be...
sitting down and then would stand up faster,
Yeah.
right?
No, but if there's other people in the same online session, like it's the reason you can't skip time in multiplayer games, right?
That shouldn't matter in the hubs.
Why? If there's multiple people there, everyone would jump forward in
Because
time.
you're just sit down on a stool and then stand up right away instead of sitting on the stool for like a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about like the armor thing, right? With the little armor cutscene that I skip every single time.
It
You
would just
couldn't-
like appear like at the same time that it appears in your little cutscene. I
Who's
don't
right?
understand.
Is this logical?
Oh,
Is this
wow.
making sense?
I don't know.
I think we should move on.
Yeah,
I don't think you can skip
think
cutscenes if it's multiplayer.
I don't think we know the complexity of game development to be able to decide.
Like,
Well, we understand
what was
time.
what.
Skipping the long cutscenes in battle wouldn't really work because then
Yeah.
like when the
Everybody would
person-
have to do it.
Yeah, but
Right.
like in the town, why would I don't know.
So it would just be the equivalent of it would jump you back to the. Yeah, okay, maybe you're right. I could see it if
I
you're
think,
sitting there
like,
no matter
the
what,
other
and a
person,
cutscene's
like
running on
if
top.
you're in your canteen sitting down,
Right.
and like I would see you sit down and then stand
Right.
up
You're
rather
right.
than see time.
You're right,
Jump.
Lily. I take it all back. Berber
I'm
Joe
always
also
right.
points
Always.
out the great suggestion saying, this game seems to use the term dragon rather loosely.
Sure.
I fought one that was a unicorn.
Yeah,
There
Kieran.
you go.
Kieran is an end game encounter. I'm on Kieran Plus right now. It's a very
Oh,
spicy. Fight.
Congratulations.
Did you do the two Kieran's event?
I did not do the two Kieran's event. That
I'll
sounds
do
insane.
it with you.
Okay, we should do that.
I haven't
I-
fought a Kieran for a while, but I'll do it.
I didn't know what that was. I think I went on that and I couldn't find anything.
The Kieran is a very fast, annoying
So
creature.
sweet. That's how you get the sexy armor.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's some
really?
really cool
Yeah.
armors from that one, but it's a tough fight. It's fun. It's tough. It's like the whole thing is like you've got to like knock it down because it doesn't stop moving and it's
So you
got
wanna,
really
like,
powerful attacks.
Hammer Kieran.
So you just have to hammer this, just
The whole thing is
moving so fast.
you got to land a rodeo on it or knock it down. That's the
basically
only way.
he like jumps like badoo, 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 and then like he has like a rear up, and then he like lightnings in like 5 spots. Like it's always in the same 5 spots in like
Huh.
the same order.
It's a really
And,
fast
like,
sparkle
you're-
unicorn.
Eventually, your brain knows where like the pentagram of like lightning strikes will be to
Oh,
like
weird.
avoid them,
It
but it
sounds
takes
like-
a little while to figure it out.
It sounds like the Final Fantasy summon. Who's the lightning unicorn? Anyways.
You're absolutely right, by the way.
Okay, whatever that is probably some weird Japanese trope we don't know
That's
about.
probably also a Kieran, is what you're saying.
Maybe. Joshua from Alabama says, hello, crew. I'm currently 40 to 50 hours in Monster Hunter World. I'm a longtime listener. Cool, thanks. I have 2 questions. What is your favorite item to take with you on expeditions or optional quests? Also, what have you wasted any materials and credits on armor weapons that later on you find out are completely obsolete? So, favorite favorite items. Like, what are like the locked items that you need to bring on
So
every
I bring a vitality cloak on every single run.
What is that?
It's incredible. It just
That's what I bring.
basically gives you free damage and lets you be lazy. Like you can
Yeah.
just take a bunch of free hits.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's wonderful.
You don't take damage, or at least as much damage, for like 90 seconds or so. I don't know how many seconds.
You're like, hey, I want to go ham on Kieran, and I don't want to worry about the lightning for
Mm-hmm.
for like 20 seconds. I'll just put this cloak on, and I can just be lazy and take the damage.
Or like Otogaren's like rage
Sure.
when he's all like
Yes.
slashing around.
Yeah.
Or like if you're already heavily bleeding and he's like still raging, that's a good time to use it. It's pretty handy.
Super great against. I'm surprised we haven't got an email yet about basil juice.
Oh, it's coming.
Because
It's
that
coming.
guy, you definitely want to bring your vitality cloak against that guy.
How do I get a vitality cloak?
One of the early game quests. It's
Yeah,
gotta be
you
optional.
get it really early.
I don't remember.
Optional quest.
Optional
It's a-
quests are king. Okay.
Yeah, they are. It's usually given by the person in the armory. Those are the ones that give you the tools.
Gotcha. It asks about stuff that you bought, credits you spent that you immediately regretted. I mean, I guess I've had a little bit of that because I actually have run out of money, which I didn't expect, and I was promised would not happen to me.
As you get high
on,
rank, you
hang
can
on.
run out of.
Eventually, you'll have more money than you
eventually you'll have unbelievable amounts of money and lower research points. But anyway,
arena quests are a good way to get money if you need some too.
Okay. I haven't done
and it's really helpful that you can dial back your items in most cases. Not when you've made like the end item, but you can roll back items to make different ones with the materials.
Yeah,
which is
that's a
super
really
handy.
cool new thing that I appreciate.
Like it lets you, if you go to your tree while you're teching up a weapon, like you can, and then you realize later you wanted to go to something else, you can get it back and get a material refund. It's very helpful.
Let's see. Mike has a question. Says that he's really enjoying the game so far. It's his first Monster Hunter game. There's a lot of people, believe it or
That's
not.
really good to hear.
Based on sales numbers, I think you'd imagine there's a lot of people are getting this game for the first time.
Blowing me away.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
I've barely used my arm crossbow for anything. What type of ammo should I be looking for when I'm out in the field? What are some good gameplay tips for it? Are there any other uses for it that I'm unaware of?
So that's gonna change a lot as you get through the game. You get better stuff to put in there later, but early game you want to hit the flash bug stuff. Just it's like a free blind, man. Like you can't go wrong with that. That's crazy.
I
good.
usually bring a lot of extra flash bugs to make more flash pods. That's the most useful one that I've encountered so far.
Yeah, later on they give you like I don't forget what it's called, like the dragon pod or whatever. Very very useful.
Dragon pod. What does that do?
It's whatever. It's just like the late game equivalent. It just rocks their world, man.
And you'll need screamer pods for like Diablos.
Screamer pods.
There's
What do they
some
do?
weird those ones that make like a sonic boom sound that like makes them come up out of the sand. And then there's some of the really weird ones like bright moss just like lights up an area, which I don't know what the function is. Maybe later on
There'll be a fight in the dark later, probably.
Oh,
that we
okay,
need,
yeah,
probably. But they're all, I did not use them for like the first 30 hours. I was like, whatever, this thing is crap. Because mainly because I was using a heavy bowgun and I would always be locked in blasting. But once I switched to a melee weapon, I was like, wow, this is just like crazy having this stuff on hand. Like just flip them out, and they do great stuff. Like the effects are not negligible. They're very strong.
Okay, so pay attention to them for sure. Nick from Arkansas says, hey everybody, big change in Monster Hunter World is the ability to craft monster plates and gems, which are very rare items that would normally require a good bit of grinding, by using a character in Astera called the Elder Melder.
Correct.
Using rare items from the weekly limited bounties as well by completing special optional missions called Special Arena Quests, you can basically just turn these items that are tangible and not based in RNG to get something that is otherwise a chore to get. The Elder Melder can also craft new decorations by melting down unused ones, which is another big change. I personally love the new addition, and I'm curious what veterans like Dantek and Lele think of it.
You know what's crazy is I've got so many freaking plates and gems just from farming that stuff. But I have not actually used the Elder Melder function to get one of those rare gems, because the fights that I did, like I've killed Xenojiva like probably 20 freaking times to get but I've got like I have multiple Xenojiva weapons, full Xenojiva armor. Like I just like that fight a lot too. Like it's the final story monster.
Okay.
I think it's a really cool fight, and I just keep going back into it and doing it over and over and over and over.
Are you
See,
an
that's
Elder Melder
what
lad?
Monster Hunter's about.
Grinding
And I
till
didn't
your
have
eyes
to.
No, but it's like just loving that fight so much, and like
Right.
it's a little bit different every time. Your group of friends changes, and it's just fun. It's just that's what it is. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like this is a fight that like I've distilled down to like I know exactly when to hit him, where to hit him, and like have his like all of his moments down. Like just like I've got to hit his arm here to knock him on the side, or I've got to knock him off the edge here so he trips. There's lots of cool stuff in that fight.
I keep saying that. It's like there's nothing as satisfying as like when you finally like master those, like a weapon and an enemy to the point where like you break every single thing, kill it really quickly, and like never get hit.
That's
Yeah.
Like it's like so, it's just like so satisfying.
And then walk towards the camera as the monster explodes behind you.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Got it. Well, Art would argue here. Art Vargas would say there's something that's even more satisfying, saying, I'm Art from Texas. Hello. I want to talk about the moments of badassery I have while hunting. One of the best feelings in this game is when you stagger a monster. Take Anjanath, for example. Seeing it prep its flamethrower attack, I vault into the air, Insect Glaive, jumping over the attack as it releases, then jump towards him to lay the smackdown on his skull. This is especially satisfying when I have the speed boost for my insect. Seeing him fall back is so awesome and just one of my favorite things about the series. What has been the standout moments for you guys so far?
I like being in the middle of a fight and watching a turf war happen. It's my favorite. I just sit back and I'm just like, whoa. And I gotta
wars are
try
really
when to
cool.
get
the
involved.
novelty hasn't worn
The-
off for you yet.
No, not yet. Like sometimes it's annoying when all of a sudden you're like, I'm just trying to kill this one guy and like 3 of them pop in and you're like, God. like just bad luck at the time. But when there's just the 1 versus 1 in front of you, they distract the monster,
it's
and
kind of
it's
fun.
good to use that for
Turf
strategy.
wars are super cool until you meet basil juice.
Uh-oh.
That is the worst
Uh-oh,
thing.
basil juice.
And you meet him by saying it 3 times. You said it twice. Don't say it a third time.
And he
No matter
always
what.
shows up. Like in late game, he's always there, and you're like,
I'm
God,
excited to meet him.
freaking, You
You
just
can
want
be cooking with your palicos and a stare and basil juice.
He's got
Sorry,
his own music soundtrack. Whenever I hear it, it's like it triggers my mind. It's like,
Danny
oh God, not
Elfman did
again.
it. It's wonderful.
No, really, it is like that. It's like, oh great, the bomber's here. Get
I
out.
think like my favorite thing, this is old school, but like will always be knocking Los or Ian out of the sky with an attack rather than with a flash bomb. It's so fun.
Okay.
And their little like that they do when they fall down.
Sure.
Oh, Rathalos and Rathian.
Yeah.
Do you, like experts call it?
Well, that's just what we call it. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I mean, there's like
She's
shortened
hardcore.
versions of like all the old monsters, but like those are like the old, you know.
The Old Norse words.
The
The older
old-
monster on the
No,
No,
world.
there's like the two like original,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mascot.
Matt McKenna writes in with that topic and says, "Have any of you given special nicknames to any monsters, and if so, why?"
Yes.
Mine can't be said on the podcast because we just have to bleep them out.
You should say it, and I promise I'll bleep it out. I'll write the time code down. Say it right
Should
now.
we do it?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, asshole, piece of shit. I think that's a good one.
Oh my God.
That's a. I've called a couple monsters that too.
These cameras are rolling. Are you out of your mind?
Is it Odogarin? We just
Yeah.
call it Odo because we couldn't remember for a while what it was. And then the little guys in the Coral Highlands we just call Seamus. Like
Oh,
Farmer
I
okay.
like it.
Seamus.
I like it.
Odo Dodo. That Odo Dodo helm is. I've been wearing it forever.
Isn't
it's
it awesome?
It's so bizarre. Like it gives me like gray hair and a
It's
bird.
sweet.
I
beak.
love that one too. And then there's what is it? Titsiyaku?
Kuluyatu or whatever. He's
Yeah.
the new bird thing that doesn't do
The
anything.
blue one.
Right.
The blue one that's like Gendrome. I call
Yes.
Tatsiki. Like Tatsiki sauce. Because I just
The,
don't
the
remember what it is.
Velociraptor that does the.
See,
the
this made
paralysis-
it
the
feel
paralysis.
good because I can't remember all the time all the monster names.
I don't know
'cause
any
they
of
just
them.
like there are a few where I'm just like, yeah, I know Andronap, like whatever. But
And there's a few that like
yeah,
they
that
even
stick with
abbreviate.
you. But then there's some I'm like, what's that guy's name? Tsitsi Wow, whatever. Like
There's
it
so many
just-
like big rolly ones. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know the
There's
spiky
two.
rolly
Yeah.
one
Come
or
on,
the
dude,
or the
Hanson, there's
smoother
two.
rolly one.
There's two.
I don't know.
Come on, man. There's
can
only
never-
two of them.
Pink Rathian. I can never remember. It's impossible. It's impossible. By the way, the Pink Rathian thing,
Yeah.
is that a callback?
Yeah.
What's significant about Pink Rathian?
The colored ones are like they get progressively harder. So there's like after the blue, like the normal like red and green Rathalos and Rathian, then there's Azure Rathalos and Pink Rathian, and then you'll get like silver and gold. I want to say.
Yeah, I don't even know if those are in yet, but yeah.
So those are like the G. I think silver and gold were G rank
G-rank.
from the
That's
old.
the old
one.
high rank.
No, that's
no,
like
G
the
rank is
oldest
above. G rank
super
is
crazy
like
town.
G rank is G rank is crazy town rank, which will
Super crazy town.
usually that would be another release of the game, but in this case that might be different. We might get a DLC or something. That would make more sense.
Interesting.
I don't know.
This
Do you have
tied
like
in-
a wall of G rank in the old ones that you hit? This I'm just like interjecting a question because I want to know.
No, go for it.
G rank is like there is really difficult stuff in this game, but like G rank is like one shot. Like you get hit. And you
Oh
die.
yeah. I just
So,
mean
like-
like what are your previous games like G rank wall that you hit that you just
Oh.
couldn't get past?
You know what? I honestly don't know offhand.
Mine
I did
was
a lot of multiplayer.
Dan doesn't
G
see
rank.
walls.
the last time that I got that far in one. I don't remember if it was 3 ultimate or 4 ultimate.
It's
Was
by 4 ultimate was very
2 G rank Rajang was the one that I could never beat, even with different groups of friends.
Sure.
Just like everyone was always just dying. I'm sure there's like an armor set I could have made that would have made my life easier, but it just
yeah. G rank you can make your life easier, but like it's still like it's insane difficult. And like again, there's definitely a lot of challenge at the end game of this Monster Hunter, but G rank is like on another level.
Yeah, right on. This ties back a little while ago, but I want to get it out. Josh writes in and says, after unlocking the high rank hunts, we learned that monsters have been starting to migrate to other areas in the game. For example, you start finding Anjanath in the Wildspire Waste instead of only the Ancient Forest. I'm at Hunter rank 28, and in these hunts, I'm still yet to see 2 dangerous monsters start fighting each other.
You will.
The turf wars are one of the coolest parts of the game, and for me, I think the term applies more than anything to these monsters. So it's not just the low rank stuff, like the big high rank.
I assure
beasts.
you that you will be involved in some turf wars that you will not want to be a part of.
That's
at the high rank.
what a
Looking forward to
Just
it.
like a massacre, like that you have no chance of survival, and you're just like,
boy.
I gotta leave now. Like you can't stay there. It's It's just a
Yeah.
pit of death.
My
It's just
dodge
great.
skills are just so great in this
Ah!
game. They just keep getting better. I'm just going to say that. That's all I do, just dodge away from. And it's hard for me because I swap from dual blades to the light bow gun.
Oh, interesting.
And with the bow gun, you're slower, so it takes a minute to like. You can't always. Sometimes I get greedy and I want to take that shot, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, roll.
Your boat. I saw a weird thing where I think it was fighting near Hergante. It was one of like the, a little ways into the high rank fights. It just gave me like a full UI prompt on the screen again saying, this is how you roll. Like 40 hours into the game.
Were you on fire?
I don't
I think
so.
sometimes when you change weapons or something, I've gotten that for sure. Like it's like trying to teach you how to use the new weapon.
Okay, I don't think it was that. It's just confusing. Like, why are you teaching me that? I know I'm bad at the game, but I don't know why. Leave me alone. Zachary Pliggy has a question that ties into everything.
Okay.
Friend of the show, Zachary Pliggy, says, hey, Hanson, it was great hearing all the love from Monster Hunter World. How many new players are hopping on board and having Lele on the podcast? There you go.
Heyo.
A lot of Lele love. A bit of background. Monster Hunter is my all-time favorite series. I put at minimum of 300 hours into each entry, even ones never released outside of Japan, such as Monster Hunter Frontier Online.
Wow.
Commitment.
Jesus.
That's
I even
serious.
maxed out my original Monster Hunter game clock on the PS2. Have you done that, Lele?
That's absurd.
I'm not sure, but I have multiple like saves on one card where like I can't actually like gather any items because the item box is like completely full in all the stacks.
Just the data's broken.
It's
amazing.
broken. We've like corrupted some memory
data's
cards. Like
broken.
it's bad. It was bad.
Jeez. Pliggy says, I absolutely adore Monster Hunter World. Some of the stuff I thought would annoy me, such as the scout flies and damage numbers, I grew to enjoy. Compared to past entries, it feels much more streamlined. I've spent the majority of my time putzing around in low rank, pulling friends through quests, explaining the game and systems, getting them comfortable so they're ready for high rank. I mainly play Hunting Horn, but also switch over to Charge Blade
He's
if I
an
play
OG.
solo.
Yeah.
Hunting Horn, wow. So the question is, between low rank and high rank, did your choice of weapons change?
Mine did, and I did talk about this a little bit on the last episode, how I went through low rank and into high rank with the heavy bowgun, but I did switch to melee for just because I had to solo those encounters.
Yeah.
And soloing the Elder Dragons with the heavy bowgun was tough because
Yeah.
of reload time and they're, because of that kind of thing. But I'm back to multiple weapons now, so that's cool.
Would you recommend switching weapons? Let's see. Lucas wrote in wondering that. Like, am I blowing it by just playing through the entire game with the one weapon
You
I
should-
love?
I mean, again, I only switched because I was solo on these encounters. I think it's way cooler. Like, if you're a heavy bowgun user and you want to fight Elder Dragon, that's fine. Especially when you've got other players. Like, they could take the attention and you can just let loose your artillery barrage, right? Which is a lot of fun. Depending on your spec too. Like, if you've got the right armor to do that reload faster or get out of there, it's all these things are factors. But I would say that mastering one weapon that you really like is probably better, and then you can move out, branch out to other weapons.
Yeah, like you do you. Play how you want. But what I would say is if you want to branch out a whole lot, it makes more sense maybe to wait to make more weapons until you're in high rank just because they're better instead of like burning up all the items.
That's the really
laying
cool part.
around
Like
in
when you get
low
all those extra materials, you can just
Yeah.
instantly advance the weapon up
That's
Yeah,
cute.
to your
exactly.
tier and be like, yep, cool, I got a really powerful weapon of another class immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I alternate between two, but now that I'm in high rank, I'm looking to do a third just to spice things up.
Esteban Negrete, Hergante, I'm sorry, says, it's just a simple thought, saying, hey, I use the sword and shield constantly, but I constantly forget about the shield, to the dismay of my friends.
I
That's all right.
probably would too.
That's all
if I
right.
played that.
I can't imagine playing this game with a shield. What is that like?
It's really helpful if you
Yeah.
are timing blocks.
So how powerful is it? Like, if an Anjanath is like charging you, can you just put a shield up and I'll be okay?
It uses your stamina bar and then takes away some sharpness.
Oh,
Well, the
okay.
sword and shield might not take away sharpness because it's a shield, but like
the
with
sword
great
definitely does, yeah.
Okay.
I've never used the sword and shield in any of these games, so
Really?
I don't
Mr.
like
Dark
sword and
Souls.
shield.
Told you, I just like
don't
to
like
roll.
it.
I don't
Yeah,
use
roll
I don't
fun.
use a shield in Dark Souls either, so you know that.
I don't. Jonathan.
You do
from-
now.
All right.
There are
Jonathan from.
but there are some where like it's beneficial to bring a weapon that you can block with, like old like Diablos was helpful when it
Diablos.
comes out of the ground. Like you can block that.
Like that Diablos is another fight where it's like you got your heavy bowgun and you're sitting there trying to reload it. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's under the I'm dead.
There are
Yeah.
certain monsters that you want to be able to block.
Gotcha. Jonathan from Chicago writes in with a bunch of advice on how to use an insect glaive, which is nice. Just saying, like, hey, make sure to get the red buff from the head as early as possible. He recommends some combos, which is great. Thank you for the insect glaive advice. And then he says, there was an old joke on Monster Hunter forums that the best strategy to slay any monster is step 1, don't get hit. Step 2, hit it until it dies. I took it to heart and rely entirely on Insect Glaive's mobility to kill every monster, and I rarely use items. That's a good strategy.
It's an excellent strategy. It reminds me of another good old classic, which is like reduce the enemy's HP to 0 while simultaneously keeping your HP above 0.
Good loading screen
I've
tips
noticed
overall.
a trend in these emails. They all seem to be tips for you.
Got a lot of Insect Glaive tips.
Yeah.
Here, yeah.
Just the one Insect Glaive.
I
know. Look, there's no helping at a certain point.
I mean, Ben, how many videos do I have to send you before you watch one?
He's never going to do it.
Well, I watched that one, but it was frustrating because it's like, here's everything you need to know about the Insect Glaive. And then it was from like the beta or some like early stage show demos. So it's like, this is how you fight an Anjanath with Insect Glaive. But what I needed help with was like back in town, like just navigating the UI of like nurturing
so you need like
Kinsects.
an entirely
We
different
did a town
type of-
guide, Hanson. I think you were on it with me.
Yeah, but
Where
you
we
didn't
go
help
over-
me with the Kinsect UI.
Jeez.
No,
I'm just
I
saying.
mean, I give you credit for like sticking with it. And
You
trying
can
to
40
learn.
hours!
Yeah.
40 hours!
Yeah, I am impressed about that.
Thank you.
I
Thanks for
think you
sticking
can
with
find what you need to learn, or maybe you just like use a different weapon.
No.
I told him that too.
No.
It gets really salty.
I'm okay now. It's just understanding the UI is still a little messy. I'm no hero, folks. I just use an Insect Glaive. Nick from Atlanta says, hello, Monster Hunter Game Club panelists. Hello. What monster gave you the most trouble in low rank versus high rank? And how did you overcome the challenge?
So I didn't have any trouble with any low rank monsters that I can recall.
Really?
High rank, things started getting sketchy at Nergigante because I was all solo. Remember the other dragons I all beat on the first try.
Why were you all solo? Why do that?
There was nobody else had the game when I was playing through.
But what about like other reviewers? Like, why don't you team up with them?
Nah.
They probably weren't
Good
as
point.
far as he was
Jeez.
too at that point.
And that's Kim's right.
Huh. Okay, so you soloed Nergigante
Yes,
because I cannot beat that
sounds
MFer now.
the first time. Like definitely took me a few tries, but then like that Monster Hunter thing kicked in. The first time I beat him, like as soon as I beat him, I'm like the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go beat him again and again and again and again until I had the full Nerg set. And then that helped me with the other Elder Dragons substantially. That set's really great.
What's the monster that causes you to bleed in low rank?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that I'm
That one's
I'm
tricky.
gonna keep my sane.
Now, if
away
you
from
crouch, the bleed goes away.
that. Yeah, you do, which is still dumb.
or
Like I'm
Astera
sitting here
jerky.
bleeding
Gotta take your
hysterically,
jerky.
and I'm just gonna sit there and crouch.
You crawl around the corner and take a crap out behind a rock so you
bring-
then stop
bring jerky.
bleeding?
Bring Astera jerky. if
No,
you
I
want.
did. People are.
Okay,
I was
just making sure that
I was
you know.
yelling
really?
about that on Twitter because I was just getting so annoyed. But I knew that like you just stop and crouch and you obviously the blood will eventually stop. But I just think that's so silly because I'm like when I bleed, I also don't put jerky on myself when I bleed. So I guess like too that's
Never tried it.
I bleed. I just don't sit there while it's gushing out and crouch and then be like it's okay now.
It does
So-
sound
so
like
like
how
the
you
jerky.
attract a bear.
Yeah.
A good tip, like the jerky, is that consumables can help your life a lot.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize this enough. Like even just making those little anti-poison pods that you don't have to like gulp like an antidote. Like just you
Oh yeah.
just snap bite it and you get healing and poison recovery. Just
Interesting.
look at your thing, set your auto crafting up, and you'll get lots of really good items that you need to use.
There we go. Nick from Atlanta also has a question, which I don't think we covered last time. How do you feel about the music in the game? Do you recognize the unique themes for certain monsters, especially Basilgeuse?
Certainly, like I know when he's there because you don't see him, right? You hear the music come on, and then of course, 1,000 egg bombs land on your face. He's the most annoying freaking piece of shit in this.
Oh man,
like,
I'm so excited to get to that.
Like he just shows up like, every time you're fighting an Elder Dragon. It's like, oh, this can't get worse, right? Oh, it's worse. It's way worse.
Why is he everywhere?
He's like, because he's just part of like every endgame map he can show up. Like,
it's
and
like the apex.
and what he
predator.
does is like he literally just drops bombs. Yeah, he's extremely aggressive. He
I
will
wanna
fight
be like
anything.
that.
He will
Just
chase
drop
you. He doesn't
bombs.
care.
He looks so weird too. He's got that giant eggy head.
He's a pine cone bomb man. Yeah,
Egg bombs.
and yeah, he's just super annoying.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievably annoying, and always interferes when he's not supposed to be there. Like you're like, oh, I got a turf war between these two dragons.
Right.
Watch him fight, and then it's like, dun dun dun, here he comes, and it's like, I gotta go. He's just
All
He's like, I don't
Get
care.
ready for this. Dan Tack, what's your nickname for him?
giant piece of shit, and a lot of other words that I can't say, even if they're censored.
Do you have insight into something else that you call him?
Oh, I don't think I've fought him yet.
No, you'll know when you fight him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
usually
I
just the
remember.
nickname is what the hell is that?
And like one of the late game quests is that you have to kill 2 tempered basil juices
Oh my.
in the same
Say it
mission.
again.
Oh, he's coming into the room.
Like it's absurd. Like it's crazy. Like even when you bring other friends along, it's
That
just like
sounds
there's death
bonkers.
everywhere. Anyway,
Other music, I should
Right.
point out, I think it's really, really great. I think it's a great soundtrack.
it is. It really does. It's really cool how you can like make that association between monster and music. And I also want to say I love the music in the Xenojiva fight. That's one of the reasons I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. So when you get there,
Listen.
I haven't gotten
It's a good
super
fight.
far yet, so there's a lot that I still have to hear. I like Otogarens a lot. I think it's really cool. Could have mixes like some sort of like Eastern thing with this sort of like
yeah, you know what?
goth like metal,
All the
sort of
music-
like
Finally.
organs and stuff. I think it's a cool song. It's very different from previous ones. And also, I finally did a few Rathalos solo the other night and was like all like had the warm fuzzies and was like tearing up almost because they like reorchestrated it, and it's like the same theme that I remember but just like bigger and better.
Oh,
And
that's
like
cool.
his updated like graphics are really beautiful, and it's just like so nice to sort of like see those like the spirit stay the same and sort of like be realized, you know, in
Yeah.
a bigger, better way. It's
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
All the music in that one zone, the fourth one, whatever, the desolate area, like the graveyard, the
Rotten Vale?
poison yard, the rotten veil. All the music in there is
Oh.
really good, I think.
Yeah,
I'd go in
yeah.
there just
All
for
the music throughout the entire game has a lot of John Williams in it. I don't know if I'm reading too far into it, but
No,
there's even like in
fair.
Hystera, there's like two moments where it feels like it's building to the Star Wars theme or to the ET theme. It's jumping up there in some way.
A little bit of the Williams in there, but I think to good effect and not too derivative.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Jacob Shaw is kicking off a trend here that a lot of people wrote in about. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Ralph from Texas who's breaking off this trend, saying, "Hey, GI crew, as a Monster Hunter veteran with over 1,000 hours starting from 4U onwards, I feel this game's high rank starts strong but gets progressively weaker. I thought that investigating the Pink Rathian was a hassle and that Elder Dragons were even worse. I also feel that the lack of direction after defeating Hunter rank 29 Urgent was a bit frustrating. I love the game, but I feel that a first-timer might get dissuaded from the lack of direction that is given. What do you guys think about what is happening with the weird progression
I'm a
in the
little
high rank?
confused about his question, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, how about this? Jacob
So
Shaw
high rank is very linear. So it throws you up, kill this Elder
Linear?
Dragon. Yeah.
quite linear.
Yes.
So like
I
It
was
goes-
thinking the same thing.
We
but
were
I was-
all desperate to make fun of Tag.
and you did.
Yeah.
So we got that. That's good. So it goes kill one Elder Dragon, kill another Elder Dragon, kill the third Elder Dragon, and then go kill.
No, but I think even before the Elder Dragons, like Jacob Shaw writes in about it as well.
Okay.
After breaking into high rank, my mind was blown by all the new armor and quests, but I was excited for the new challenges. That is until I hit my first real difficulty wall in the game, searching for those stupid footprints for Pink Rathian. After getting my clock cleaned by that pink punk too many times to count, I finally defeated it, only to be thrust into that terrible grind of looking for more footprints and clues from the Elder Dragons.
So I do remember
understand
that. I think I know why it's there though. They really want you to be prepared with some extra armor and top tier weapons to fight those dragons, especially if you're solo.
Interesting.
So I think they sort of put that in there as sort of a sync to make sure that you're killing other stuff to get the gear necessary that they deem necessary to make that an easier fight for
But
you.
the sync just has you wandering around, like Ronald from
I'm
Nebraska.
aware of what you have to do with it.
Also
Yeah.
writes in saying, I'm sick of searching the jungles, Wildspire
know-
Waste, Rotten Vales for monster tracks. It's just all
I mean,
over the place.
I knocked him out and like, if you just understand like the logic behind it, like you just go to the zone and you just you wander around for 10 minutes, you find all the tracks. Just don't do anything else if that's your goal.
Although, Dan, I think you're wrong, and Ron from Nebraska points out that if Dantech says anything you disagree with, remember that he loves Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Now we all know that's not true. If I want to take a hard line on something, that is certainly not true.
I'm going to be controversial and say that one is better than Temple of Doom.
Nope.
I've never heard that argument,
Yes, you
but
have.
it's not outrageous.
Like, I feel like Temple of Doom is like separate from all other Indiana Jones movies, which are very like dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Temple, like, I just don't like. It's funny as its own movie, but I don't like it as an Indiana Jones movie. I don't know.
That's
This is a
interesting.
different game club.
It feels like it should have been an episode of Young Indiana Jones or something.
Something,
I
yeah.
think
It's
we
just
can all
too
agree,
goony.
Temple is down there, but it's nowhere near the garbage crevasse that is
agree.
Crystal Skull.
But you have to also feel like Crystal Skull is like funny though. Like
it's funny, not in a way.
yeah,
not in a good way. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? We have 6 more pages about Kingdom of the
All right.
Crystal Skull. We'll just
Oh
quickly
my
get
God.
All right,
through
let's
these.
get them
Oh
out.
my
Let's knock them
I
out.
don't know why that came out. Wes Bates from Woodland, California says, hey, about 65 hours in Monster Hunter World. I'm really enjoying it, but I can't help but feel that the second half of the game leaves something to be desired in terms of progression. The low rank portion of the game continuously drip feeds the player with new monsters, missions, and areas at a rate that gives just enough choice and freedom to stay satisfying. But I feel like the high rank portions bombards the player with high rank versions of all the old monsters and adds so many new ones shortly after starting that it's exceptionally difficult to even know where to begin. The same problem can be said of the high rank armors, which are absolutely necessary immediately, but the game doesn't show you most of what's available until you kill the high rank versions of the monsters for that set. Then you have to do some heavy grinding to get the pieces needed for the armor. You don't even know if it's actually a good set for what's coming up next. I had to grind for 3 hours to get one upgrade to my bow, which was way longer than anything I had to do in low rank. It took me 30 hours to clear low rank and another 30 just to get near Hirgante in high rank. And I feel like I was walking blindfolded the entire second half. Anybody else feel that way?
I mean, I had a completely different experience. I thought high rank was great because of the fact that it didn't start like, the hand-holding was done. I could go chase whatever armor I wanted, or I could progress. And that would really depend on like how I did it. Like, I'm like, okay, Nergigante is killing me in one shot. Probably need to get some upgraded armor so he doesn't one-shot me and he's two-shots me instead. I can live with that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll go track down the set. But like, I did not feel that way. I'm not saying like, I'm curious for when you guys get to that point if you do have that same sentiment.
So do you feel like the unlocking armor and just, the satisfying loop, it doesn't slow down in the second half? Like you just have so many more options that it stays at the same pace throughout?
Yeah, I think the pacing is more of like, instead of being, you kill this, you kill this, you kill this, it's like, here's your next objective. But here are many other things that you can do while you get prepared for that encounter.
Okay.
I think
That's how I
too,
feel.
sometimes it just comes down to luck that you get what you need in a fight that you're doing. I mean, you can obviously pick the monsters and know where certain things are going to be, but you can't guarantee you're going to get the claw.
And that's one thing that you should really, again, this is mostly for newer players, check out that cool manual they have in the game that you advance through it, learning the creature. It tells you, here are the break-offs.
Yep.
Here's what you need to shatter. Here's what you need to slash. Like, those are very useful when you're tracking down those, like, man, I can't get that stupid thing to drop. Where does it drop? Oh, it drops off this guy on a tail cut. So, like, you've got to take that into the fight with you.
There we go.
Good point.
Dylan R. Hoffman says, he's kind of at the Dan Tack camp, I think. He says, having played mostly every Monster Hunter game since Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on PSP, the high rank hunts in Monster Hunter World are a cakewalk. Until you fight tempered monsters that are on crack.
Yes.
Is that true? Do you think the high rank fights overall are?
I don't think they're a cakewalk by any stretch. In fact, I think for a lot of players getting into the series, they're going to seem intimidating or overly difficult.
Impossible.
Not impossible.
Oh.
Very challenging. But yeah, once you get into the tempered, cracked out monsters, things get really crazy. And that reminds me of some of the older, harder G rank sort of stuff.
What are the tempered monsters? I haven't seen these
Tempered
yet.
monsters are even harder versions of monsters you've already fought, like a basil juice or whatever, anything. They're purple on they're purple in quest icons.
So are they like in rage mode more of the time and like just do more damage, right?
They're all enraged. They're always enraged. Like
okay,
so
like
I think
constantly in rage mode.
I think they're just I think
that's
again,
scary.
I'm just talking. I think
But
they
it feels
constantly have the enrage boost. Again, that's anecdotal, but I believe that is how it works. That they constantly have the boost of enrage damage.
But like just the fast animation. Where
They're wild.
Yeah.
They're wild and they're angry and they kill
sounds
you.
about right. Yeah.
And yeah, they offer better rewards, which is cool. Like that's how you get all your cool like end game skill gemming. Is you get lots of skill gems for beating them.
Oh, good. Let's see. God, did I not copy and paste this name? I don't think I did, but it's good, so I'll read it. Hello, Ben and crew. Monster Hunter. Is it the Dark Souls of Pokemon?
Oh,
Then they noted that they typed that just because they wanted to see Dan Tack die a little.
they got it.
Yep, they really did. This person points out the first huge wall that it came up against was near Hirgante, who would almost one-hit me with his massive spirally charge attack. I found, after a few repeated attempts, that this move was almost impossible to dodge. Up until then, I had not needed to use the blocking function of the Great Sword, but near Hirgante forced me to start. I soon found that losing most of my stamina was a pretty nice alternative to dying, but man, it was really hard to adapt in this instance. Have you guys come across similar problems with him or tougher monsters? I had no problem smashing the next 4 Elder Dragons afterwards, especially after I farmed near Hirgante's Greatsword.
I mean, that is pretty much what I just stated earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, I had pretty much the same experience. Had to change up for him. He was the first. I'm not going to say wall because I consider a wall to be something like insurpassable. But you absolutely do need to learn the timing on that haymaker if you're going to make it out of that fight.
Am I not paying attention because
He
Probably.
telegraphs
Yeah.
it. It's fast, but he does telegraph it.
That's it. I've have full health, and I'll get one-shotted, and I don't even know
you
if he's
can't
doing an
get
attack
hit by
on
that
me.
haymaker. He does telegraph it. You'll learn it.
Okay.
You'll learn it.
And that's his only move that could kill me in one hit?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's his one-shot move.
Okay.
Depends on
your armor, though.
Sure.
I would
I'm in my underpants.
recommend doing that quest with other people and not engaging him and just sort of like trying to watch
Right.
and just watch his wind-ups into those things. I haven't done that fight
I love
yet,
how your
but
best advice to Hanson keeps being
It's-
don't get involved. Don't
but
play.
You don't
Just
want to
watch
play
back.
this game by any means.
Just hang
Attention.
back.
He does have that
if you're
Let
telegraph
others
line.
do the work.
Slave too, just jumping around in the air. How are you going to see like what they're doing?
Right.
If
But I
you're
look
not-
really cool doing it. Like,
Like, that's the move you got to watch out for sure.
Okay.
And I do think that there are a lot of monsters that are challenging for different weapon types. That's just in order to like sort of like have the variety for all those weapon types. There are going to be some that are hard with,
Yeah,
even
you want a real
broadly, it's
challenge,
like melee versus
Take a melee weapon and don't poison Kushala or whatever it is. Just whittle it down 10 HP at a time. Believe me,
without
that's a
the
fight.
armor
Yeah.
that you need. Yeah,
It's crazy.
Wow. Oyvind Garberg from Norway.
All right,
Kim,
Norway.
How do you pronounce that name? Oyvind?
Oyvind.
Sure. Hello, Norway.
Norway.
It says, hello, fellow hunters. This was my first Monster Hunter experience after sinking 100 hours into the game. Here's my favorite and least favorite moment. Best moment is just really getting all the items he needed and taking down the Hergante, which is great. Worst moment, after a long fight against Akiran, my hunting party was finally able to take it down. Unfortunately, I died just before it did, and despite
no.
climbing up the Coral Highlands as fast as I could, time ran out just as I reached his corpse.
Because his nest is similar. He likes to go to that one spot that's a real pain in the ass to get to.
The,
on
like,
that
way
really
up
tippy
top?
Yeah.
like Legiana's nest.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He goes up there, and like
no.
so
to
if you
die?
that's I think they share the nest location.
Interesting.
So, like,
Is there like a glider mantle like shortcut up
there
there?
is. You can glider. The stuff you can do with the
'Cause
glider mantle is
I
ridiculous.
haven't even like tried to figure that out. But
You can pump your. That's a good idea, actually. I should start bringing that along just for that, like just to cheat the area. You can
Yeah.
do crazy stuff with that glider mantle. You want to get that.
Jeremy Bull from East Lansing writes in.
Hey, so let's go green.
Hey, there we go. At this time, I've seen credits on the story and have gotten my hunter rank up to 37. He says the final 5 Elder Dragons you fight are some of the coolest fights in the game. The final boss was really fantastic to look at, but did not feel like the challenge the story was trying to make it out to be. My favorite moment so far was fighting a pink Rathian in Wildspire Waste, and Basil Juice joined us. They proceeded to fall down the quicksand pit in the middle of the map. I jumped down, much to my dismay, to see a Black Diablos had joined the fight.
Oh my.
At this point, I proceeded to sit on the sidelines until eventually my prey flew away from the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Was
was
there a question there, or is it just?
I was just saying that the
Just a cool story.
5
bro.
Elder
It's a
Dragons
good
towards
story.
the end are
I've had
the
those
best.
experiences where Basil Juice and a Black Diablos and oh god, what else? You know what? It doesn't matter. Those are nightmares. Those are nightmares.
those are
scenarios.
hard by themselves. All 3 is real special. Yeah.
Aaron Bivens says, hey, everybody, the new environmental stuff in this game is amazing. Landslides, falling boulders, pits, acids, all kinds of things. What's been your favorite environmental event to happen?
You know what? I like the environmental stuff, but it does feel sort of just like an afterthought. Once you learn like the location in every map, it's just like, yep, that's where the lava comes up. Oh, that's where the water goes down. That's where there's that pit in the desert. And then like after that, it's like more so than that. I think it's interacting with stuff in the environment, like tree jumps and stuff like that. Those
Yeah.
seem more interesting and more doable in many different situations than the sort of set piece traps, which are awesome, especially the first time you get them to hit. Like you're in the Rathalos nest, you hit the log,
Oh, yeah,
and
that one was fun.
that's great, right? And you just fall down there and you get like free 15 seconds of hammering on them. Like,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Good stuff.
But it didn't blow me away.
No.
As
I
far
think
as,
the only one I've really used is the like tree trap that's in Ancient Forest.
Yep.
That's
Right,
the only one
right.
really
That
actually
That one comes up a
been
lot.
beneficial to me so far. But
Gotcha.
I haven't played a ton in the other zones yet.
Master Chief wrote in, which is amazing.
Wow.
Wake me if you need me. We need you
Whoa.
now for this
we got a
gameplay,
new
buddy.
Master Chief.
Here we go. My biggest concern is after 80 hours, I feel like I'm mostly done. There's still a nice chunk of time, but people raved about how you could put hundreds of hours into Monster Hunter games, and I feel like I'm not feeling the desire to keep grinding.
Where is it? How many hours? I'm sorry.
80.
80. Okay.
I have most of the Elder Dragon armor as well as a few tier 8 weapons. I main Greatsword and then picked up the bow, but I feel like the endgame is a bit of a letdown. One of the reasons Monster Hunter World gained a bit more interest was the hole that Destiny 2 left after its spectacular flameout, so maybe I just had unreasonable expectations. But I feel like even Destiny 2 had much more to do with the raid, Nightfall, PvP. Monster Hunter seems to be a one-trick pony. You hunt monsters, and that's all, folks. If people can kill these Elder Dragons for several hundred hours, then by all means, I feel like it's personally back to PUBG. To be fair, I know there's going to be updates and DLC for Monster Hunter World as well, but now it feels like it's time to put it down, which is a bit disappointing.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. If you are not feeling it at 8 anymore, you've spent 80 hours on it, put it down. Maybe go back to it a little bit later.
It seems like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's
you know?
nothing wrong with being like, you know what? I've put 80 hours into this. I'm burnt out on it. I need to go to something else. Like, I think that's one of the best things you can do as a gamer when you feel that burn. And like, maybe he'll pick it up in a few months and there'll be DLC or something that, you know, brings him back into the game. But like I said, if you're like, don't feel like you have to play it for hundreds of hours, because some people do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do have the quest, the weekly quests, and that kind of stuff, and sure, DLC is coming.
Event quests.
I'm wondering what kind of HR he's at, because you do keep unlocking stuff as you go through the later game, but you have to get to certain HR ranks to unlock it. Like Kieran Plus requires like HR 51, I think.
Okay.
With 80 hours though, he's probably there. But like, if you keep going, there's more stuff. You just have to complete a lot of endgame quests to get there.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like I keep saying, for me, the fun is just like how good you can get at some of those fights, and like just the variables that exist, and playing with your friends. So like for me, like I don't play Overwatch, for example, because it's hard for me to learn new stuff like that, and I'm not going to figure it out. I don't have the time for it. But like people play that for like, an hour every night or whatever, and that's the game that they like to play. It's like a stress relief, and it's fun, and they get really good at their main, and like that's how I feel about Monster Hunter. Like I could play just fighting like the same, even like my favorite few monsters until I die.
That's the part that's just
what I
wild.
mean? Like just and like that, or like it's like that in like Skyrim. Like I could just play until I'm dead. Like I just don't. Those are like the only 2 games I play. Like,
well, it's kind of funny you mentioned
each person
that,
likes,
because actually I'm saying what I feel with Monster Hunter World and why I'm so into it is because it fills a similar itch that Overwatch does. Allows you to socialize, allows you to keep getting better at something. You can just go in and just do a small quest if you want to, or you can go on a big hunt. There's just do what you want when you want, and
it's funny to think of the Destiny comparisons because like I know the game is complex. There's a lot of systems you can really sink your teeth into, but like that core of it that you're talking about, Lele, like I just like whacking on the monsters. I just like doing these fights again and again and again. I'd imagine there's designers at Bungie or some other games some other designers trying to make games with a long tail that play a game like this, and it's like, what is it? Why is this one grabbing so many people when the core loop is so simple?
Because
Dan, am I insane?
Destiny is.
I think this is a huge conversation, and I don't think we have time for it here, honestly. But
give me the taste, Dan, please, Daddy.
At a very simple level, one aspect of this is the rewards in Destiny are not proportional to your time put in comparison to Monster Hunter. When you get a new Monster Hunter set, it's a huge upgrade. You feel it. You get different moves, different skills, different everything. In Destiny, it's like, okay, my rocket launcher's a little better. Nobody gives a
The thing with Destiny for me too, and I didn't play Destiny 2, but I played a lot of Destiny 1, is I feel like to actually get any decent gear, you only did the raid and the what is it? The
Nightfall stuff.
Nightfall stuff. And it was like every single time we did it, and we did them a lot of times, it was like figure out the cheat and then do it over and over and over again, and every moment was exactly the same. Like crouch in this one spot where you're less likely to get hit, and then like I would just like keep sniping the same thing over and over and over again. And it was like this was fun the first time to get through it and get a loot drop, but I don't want to ever do it again because it's going to be exactly the same.
Aren't there going to be those players out there that are like, well, I'm fine-tuning my first-person skills, like I'm getting better and better and becoming a better shot over time, like we're getting better at Monster Hunter here in third person?
I feel like the difficulty thing in Destiny was different. Like in Destiny, everything to me felt like it was exactly scripted. The AI went in exactly the same steps, and they were just like bullet sinks. I didn't feel like if I tried to not cheat that I was getting any better. It just felt like a disproportionate challenge in the HP, and you need the really good weapons to actually do those quests the right way, but you don't get those weapons until you get them from that raid. So it was just sort of and I mean, I'm not super great at shooters, but I mean, this is playing with the dudes here. That's how we ended up having to play it. And it was just not fun. After you do it a couple times, you realize that it's exactly the same every time. Once you're hiding in those places to kind of exploit it. And I think there's a lot more like variables in Monster Hunter, and just like I'm better at it, so it's more fun, I guess.
It's so satisfying too when you break a part off and you're just like, yes, I like with my light bowgun, I like to shoot him in the face, and then I'm like, ha ha ha, as it flies off. I'm so
it's
when
just
you
fun.
just land that perfect shot, it's just like, and then or you slice the tail off finally, it's just so damn satisfying.
So having played, a substantial amount of Destiny 2 and a substantial amount of Monster Hunter, it's like with Destiny 2, you have a very scripted raid encounter, very traditional MMO style raid encounter where it's like, you hit this button, you hit this button, everyone has to do X at the time things to Y, hit this button at this time. Everybody's got to do their thing in sync, and then we might get a reward. Monster Hunter is just like, you get right into the core of the fun of it. You are instantly fighting the boss. You are only fighting bosses. You're not having to do there's no trash clearing, there's no trash pulling, there's no weekly resets or lockouts. I mean, the quest, but come on. And it's just like, I want to kill a giant monster. Okay, I am now fighting Giant Monster. I am now getting rewards from Giant Monster. Very, very right down to the core of what we love about fighting a big boss.
Yeah.
Like, it just, to me, never feels like a grind. Like, even if I'm literally, like, grinding out Rathian.
Sharpening your sword, grinding it out.
Like,
It's all
it
worth
doesn't
it for those
feel like-
armor and weapon upgrades, man.
But, like, I know, like, I think I just play weird. But it doesn't, like, feel like a grind to me in that sense. It feels like, hey, I fought 5 Rathians, and it was fun every time, and here are these, like, fun moments that happened in those fights, and here's a cool thing my friend did, and we joke about it, and, like, there's a lot of, like, sort of, like, lighthearted optional quests usually in Monster Hunter games that are sort of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I've had friends who have told me, like, I don't like the grind of Monster Hunter. I don't like the repetition, and, like, that's fine. Like, whatever works for you and what you find exciting. Like I said, I think 80 hours, you got enjoyment out of it. So
I think so.
put it down and feel okay about that.
Overall, it was a lot of positive emails. A lot of people saying like, "Oh my god, thank you for choosing this as a game club.
okay,
I didn't expect
good.
it. I didn't expect to like it so much." It's more people cooling on the second half than I thought, but there were people that still thought that the challenge increase.
We
was
lost
great.
some people on the second half.
A little bit.
That's
Just
what
I
happens.
mean, that's like 4 emails out of what like 80 or something.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I never really get it because, like, it's hard for me to, like, get out of my own perspective on it. But just, like, why is Monster Hunter a grind, but things like, Pokemon or the Destiny raids
Right. Yeah.
or Final Fantasy or, like, Dragon Age Inquisition.
but you got to
like,
admit, everything in Monster Hunter takes a long time
Okay,
to do.
so like
But that's, like, the point.
It's all what's like
guess, like,
engaging for you. I mean, it's like
it's
to
just
each their own.
to each
the
their
whole
own,
notion
yeah.
of grind is weird to me in this context because grind comes from like the old when you just sit there and hit A over and
yeah,
over to
that's
kill the
what
same monster.
I
You're not
think
doing
is
that.
a
You're not doing
grind.
that.
That's
Monster
not
Hunter.
what Monster Hunter
You're
is.
not smashing
yeah.
the A button, waiting for your guys to hit, to kill the thing and get XP and potions and gold. You're not just waiting to level up. Like you're literally interacting at a lot of engagement when you're fighting a
and
monster.
like learning how to fight that specific monster, But like if you just really just don't enjoy fighting the monsters, then like maybe you just don't like it,
Yeah.
And that's okay. You don't have to like it.
it's okay, everybody.
But, like,
it's okay.
It's all right.
like,
Everyone's
did you-
fine.
We're all friends here.
Each their own.
I just wonder if when people use the term grinding like that in the context of Monster Hunter, if it's the type of thing where they've done it like twice, the same monster, and they haven't quite figured it out into that sweet spot of like really understanding.
They've
you know
listened
what
to
I
the
mean?
music, but have they listened to the music?
No.
Kind
Do you
of
know what I'm
thing?
trying to
Okay.
say?
I
Does anybody know what I'm
understand.
trying
I
to
understand.
say?
Like,
Grind
people-
has become a word to equalize repetition. Then
Yeah.
people use it like that. So they think, fighting the same monster is repetitive, even though that encounter is different every time, depending on like what gun you bring or weapon rather, how many people you play with, what parts you want to focus on. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
like
Jewel's
I
a
just
real
don't
blind
think
grind.
I don't think it's a grind in the same way that like why is doing an Overwatch match over and over and over again in the same map not a grind?
Right.
To me, that's the level of like
Oh yeah, people
variable
say
that
they grind
exists.
competitive to like get up in ranks and stuff. Like it's just the word is just
Yeah,
It's a
just
weird word.
It's a word.
I hear what you're saying, Lele. Zachary Pliggy also writes in with a simple question. Do y'all see yourself continuing to play after you reach the end game?
So I'm at 95 to 100 hours in, and I'm going to stop playing until PC release at this point.
And then you're going to start over from scratch.
Yeah. Oh, we have to.
Just because you want the 60 frames in theory, if that's what it actually
It
looks
better
like.
be.
They wouldn't commit to it. They wouldn't commit to it on the cover story trip.
But if it's not, then forget it. Like,
really?
When is the PC one?
autumn.
Oh.
Whatever that means.
Everyone's favorite time for PC gaming. Autumn.
I am going to keep playing, and I think I'll probably start playing less as more games come out, but still hopping in every once in a while. Same thing I do with Overwatch. Like I hop in, do a match or two, maybe do a hunt, and then pop out.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not planning on it.
Like I want to play with my PC crowd. Like,
Yeah.
and now that I've gotten to this point, it's like, all right, I'll wait, and this better be a good port. Are you listening to me? This better be a good port.
Hey, Capcom,
Oh,
you listening to me, buddy?
Hey.
Hey.
Tim
Hey,
Terry's listening to you right now.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he's on the wheels of steel back home. Lele, I mean, you're in it for the long
I'll
haul,
keep
right?
playing. I mean, I've played every entry except for Try. So I mean, and you know, it's my favorite. You know,
Yeah.
it's just more
It's going to be all year.
But-
Probably the next 4 years you're going to be playing this
until
thing.
there's another one. I'll keep playing it.
World 2. Well, that's
Not
a good segue.
several hours at a time, maybe.
Yeah,
but
let's
like,
just get him
yeah.
off a handheld forever. And
Don't look back.
hey, I mean, like
I'm
Yeah,
serious. Don't
I
look back.
never want them to go to handheld.
I
I
would-
would keep it on console.
I
Switch, though.
prefer it on console, but I would rather have it on handheld than none.
Well,
Like-
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Don't look back.
Jill Valentine
fun.
says, don't look back. No, Jill Valentine, Capcom #1 fan here, apparently. Great message from Jill saying, first off, I would like to thank Dan Tack and everyone else that covered Monster Hunter World for convincing me to get this amazing game. Dan Tack, thank you.
Aw.
Also for just being a shepherd for so long, being the champion for Monster Hunter in this office.
It's really great to get feedback like that from games that people are intimidated about or have scared
Yeah.
or not played before, and then to see someone fall in love with them. So thank you.
Absolutely. Jill also says, I can't wait to see where Capcom goes from here, even though I'm a bigger fan of the Resident Evil franchise. There's obviously an audience here, and I'd like to see how they improve on this formula and fix the minor quality of life issues the game still has. Also, I included this result screen image that Ben Hansen may enjoy. It was an insect glaive fighting an Anjanath, which, great.
You know,
great
your
image.
insect glaive discussion is just resonating with the community like
Well,
no
that's
other.
what
You know what?
saying.
I wanted more of a bond with the Kinsects. I wanted to like have them like fly around my home. I want to be able to feed them. They're just kind of like an abstract
Oh, hey,
thing, you know?
Next game, man. Next game.
Well, that's the question. What do you want from the next game?
what do I
console.
want?
Sure.
I would like it to be a full-fledged MMORPG.
Wow.
Just Monster Hunter. No subtitle.
Wow.
And then you make it a living game for the next 10 years.
Would it be that
I said
much of a change?
What I wanted, okay?
Yeah.
Not what we're going to get.
Well, what's the difference?
It's huge. I mean, it's just when you have that framework that you can just upgrade, forget like weekly, then you can just like a constant. Oh,
Okay,
just,
but
it would be
but
amazing.
it's just the MMO distinction. Like you can play with your friends, you can play with your friends. Like what does it really matter if you call it an MMO versus
'cause
they just keep updating world?
You'd have
forever?
a lot more of the stuff, these annoyances, like how do I get in my friend's game? You know, all this junk is all integrated. Speaking of it as a traditional MMO, right? Like you don't have to worry about any of this crap. You're all there in that world.
You said you didn't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
For
There's
what
a
it
credit on
is.
that.
You're asking me what I want.
Okay.
Hand to God, right? Like
So
you
if
know,
Monster Hunter
ultimate-
World 2 just had better online functionality,
I know,
better friend
that's the thing,
system.
I don't want there to be a 3. I just want Monster Hunter, right?
I know, but
Like
all
like
that
World
it
of
would take
Warcraft,
to
Final Fantasy 14. These are just things that get upgraded and added to.
I understand that, but I don't think the core of the game has to be that different for them just to keep updating it forever. Like in theory, and this is abstract.
Sure.
If they just took Monster Hunter World and kept adding regions to this base game forever and ever and ever, that basically is the MMO you're looking for. And maybe if they cleaned up the friend system, like you're saying.
They'd have to no. You can clean up and modify a lot of things when you go into that MMO framework. It's just like it gives you so many more tools to. No more like re-rolling characters or any of this kind of stuff. Like you've got your permanent dude that you work on, whatever.
Sure.
But there's
Hey.
no like you don't like re-roll. You just put on different armor.
Right.
Right. I mean,
Right, but okay. So like for Monster Hunter 2, I'm gonna have to start at 1 again, right?
That's your choice.
Hey, man, that's your
do it
choice.
on PC.
That's your choice.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
that-
more of an MMO.
something like that. Yeah, that way it would give them. You know how these people have concerns about end game content panning out. They're done after 100 to 300 hours. I mean, that's a lot of time for me, but I get it. They want more. With that kind of framework, you get a lot more than weekly events. It's like you can add, instead of adding dungeons, you add encounters. You swap out encounters of the week. It's very easy to swap in and out encounters with that kind of backbone or framework.
Yeah.
So just like you can be like, this week we've got 10 different new fights, and then you swap them out and do different holiday events.
That
I
seems
know.
like the event quest that they do already.
This would be more significant of a change, like the equivalent of like adding new dungeons to an MMORPG instead of just a few quests. Like instead of taking what they've already got there and just serving it up in a different way, which is what the event quests kind of are. You could do all kinds of just crazy new stuff. I think.
I think they already do that, Dan.
All right. Well, you're right.
I think it's shockingly close. I mean, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch to say that they could fully go for that full games of service with the next approach.
Right.
Yeah. Matt McKenna was wondering if there's a big piece of DLC, if we'd ever come back for a Game Club Part 3. Maybe.
For Part 3?
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to do a Game Club. We'll definitely cover the DLC.
Yeah.
We already know it's coming, I believe. Like, I think they've made announcements to that effect.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of exciting stuff. I mean, there's also tons of news stories about how crazy well the game is selling, which is...
I'm blown away, actually, by the... I expected this to be something that people would love when they brought it back to console, like in a big way, but the numbers are crazy to me. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I think they sunk a lot into this game. Definitely felt on the cover story trip there was that pressure of like, ooh, this is a big gamble. I hope people will buy this thing.
I'm glad it paid off for them.
Yeah, for sure. Alay, anything you want from the future of Monster Hunter?
I just want to make sure that it keeps happening. It's my favorite.
With those sales numbers, I think it's the same thing.
Or like if they don't make more, then like keep the servers on for this one for a long time.
Sure.
Let me play offline, which I'm pretty sure I can now.
Yeah.
So
you'll be happy.
I'm pretty
What do you want, Hanson? What do you want for the next Monster Hunter?
I just want them to babify the hell out of it. Just dumb it all down. No. Just Paper
then it's
Mario.
Not Monster Hunter anymore.
I know.
Actually, one thing that I would think is fun is if they added some more of the like Goonier stuff in as event quests, like in the old games, we used to like get bored eventually, and we would like make up games that we would just like play in the environments. But like they have the, I know I'm crazy, but like they have the opportunity to do those types of things as events, like do like capture the flag or something like that. Like
that would be fun. Someone wrote in a similar vein, I forget who was exactly now, saying that they really wanted to bring back some of the wackier weapons, and they were listing some of the stuff off. It sounded insane.
There were some cool stuff back then.
Which ones did they get rid of? I don't remember.
There's one that what was it? I don't recall the name. God.
Okay, it's buried in paperwork now. But
no, it's like
get wackier. That seems like a good route from us.
You mean like the funny weapons, or like weapon
funny
categories? Funny. Oh, like the frozen tuna?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, no, I love that stuff. They don't have any of those anymore. I mean, I feel like maybe just people don't fish enough.
Is there a frozen tuna in the game?
There probably is.
There probably is.
Okay,
or like the cat's pond.
You got to go dark into the fishing category, which is not something I've done.
Yeah, that's what that last person, Master Chief, can do. Just go dark into the fishing category.
Like once you've played 3,000 hours and if you've like exhausted everything, then you just start fishing.
See what this fishing is all about.
Yeah, about time. Hey, thank you so much for everyone that stuck with it, that's been playing dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of Monster Hunter World. I'm glad that it seems like a strong majority seem to enjoy their time with it. We appreciate it. And thanks everybody at this table that stuck it out. Be sure to tweet at Joe Juba to complain about him bailing on what feels like every single game club ever made.
Tell him he's the worst.
Just the pits. Ooh. All right. And that's it for this overall episode of the Game Informer Show. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Be sure to tune in next Thursday. We'll have another new episode waiting for you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.